We're through all the important preseason games. Now, let's look at an updated fantasy football draft. We are going to hop in the largest fantasy football tournament on this planet. We are going to go ahead, get in Best Ball Mania. This is a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $1.5 million for first. We still have 20 teams I'm able to draft here, so you better believe we are doing that before this season starts. We are in. There are 5 spots open in this draft room. If anybody wants to draft with us, obviously this is your shot here. But thank you again for stopping by, ladies and gentlemen. Really excited to get into this. Excited to talk about a couple important updates. We have injury updates. We have training camp usage. Obviously, the main storylines, what's going to be going on in Denver at the moment, where it looks like Bo Nix is absolutely crushing it. It looks like Marvin Mims is legitimately nothing. Really, the only wide receiver that you can confidently project for a role here would be, I don't know, but potentially just Cortland Sutton, and that's it. And I don't think anybody else is draftable in Denver in regular redraft leagues. On Underdog, obviously, you can take your shots late, but it is really scary at the moment with who you'd go with. But thank you for everybody stopping by with us. I see we have a message in the chat right now asking for us to get in another $500 Underdog draft. I can potentially get into a $500 draft after this one. After we do this draft, let me warm up. We'll go ahead and we will see if we can fill a $500 one. But we'll see. We'll see. Yes, Tim freaking Patrick is the thing again. Yeah, if y'all didn't see Tim Patrick preseason touchdown, which I wasn't a big fan of drafting Troy Franklin. I wasn't a big fan of drafting Marvin Mims. So it's kind of nice. I don't want to say it's nice, but it doesn't hurt me that they're not working out. Now, on the other hand, the guy I was drafting in round 18 was Josh Reynolds, and that didn't work out whatsoever. Now, Colts has thoughts on Zamir White. So from what I have seen, the Zamir White usage looks pretty concerning at the moment. Now, of course, to come out here and say that's going to continue and Zamir White's not going to have a, oh my gosh, Tyreek Hill falls down to pick 5 in this draft. This is going to be a crazy draft if Tyreek's going at 5. But yeah, Zamir White usage didn't look good in the preseason. I don't want to overreact, but I think it's definitely going to be something to monitor. We'll take Bijan Robinson here at pick 8. Kendrick says, Warren for Chase Brown in the 7th. Who wins? Don't know what, if it's a 7th round redraft league, give me Chase Brown the 7th. If it's a dynasty format, I think the 7th round pick doesn't matter at all. Would I rather have Chase Brown or Jaylen Warren at this point? It's difficult because now you actually get the report coming out of Pittsburgh saying that Jaylen Warren's going to be missing the next few weeks, and Jaylen Warren is questionable for week 1. They don't know if he's going to be back in time. So that will be something we have to potentially concern ourselves with. Henry, if you want, we can possibly hop in a $500 draft after this one if you want to get in with us, my guy. If you want to get in. D-Max says, just hopped in a Best Ball Mania draft. Saw you were in here and had to go to YouTube. That's awesome, my guy. Yeah, thank you. I get messages literally all the time saying like, oh my gosh, you're in my Underdog draft right now. Yeah. Like I said, I draft off the live stream constantly. I freaking love these drafts. But anyway, after we go Bijan, you have A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Harrison off. Will be interesting to see what makes it back to us. Pick 17. Platinum Pete says, do you think Walker or ETN have top 5 ceilings? I think ETN does. The issue with Walker is you have Charbonnet, and it looks like it's going to be an offense that probably wants to pass the ball a lot. So it's hard to say that Walker can be a top 5 running back at this point. Okay. Now, let's smooth this over. Jahmyr Gibbs off the board at 14. So doubling up on the guys that should be really exciting but have injury concerns, such as Puka Nacua and Jahmyr Gibbs. Good for us to see Jonathan Taylor go, because when we have Bijan Robinson, it would be very difficult for us to take another running back here at pick 17, specifically in underdog drafts. But Jalen Waddle off the board. So at this point, all these wide receivers are kind of the same. We're going to go ahead. We will take Deebo Samuel. We do need to go ahead and take a wide receiver no matter what, because we take Bijan Robinson in round 1. In your regular redraft league, of course, feel free to go running back here. Just on Underdog, wide receiver is going to be really hard to get late. Now, in terms of the wide receiver selection itself, Deebo Samuel looked like a really exciting pick here before we got confirmation that Brandon Ayuk would possibly get dealt. So, I don't know. Noah says, how to get in the drafts. Okay, my guy, if you don't know, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is where I draft every single night on the live stream. I've done it for years. There are best ball drafts and no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every season. It's how I won 150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you can get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. My 2024 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, 2024 Fantasy Football Rankings, and 2024 ADP Consensus Cheat Sheet. Plus, with code FLOCK, you're also going to get set up with a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. But you do need to be in one of these states if you want to draft on Underdog. You can see the map there. Okay. So let's move this over. Big Rum says, James Conner for Keenan Allen. I receive Keenan. If it's a full PPR format and you think you need a wide receiver, I'm completely fine going Keenan there. Now, Bummy coming out says 10-team PPR, second pick of my redraft. We have Lamar, Achane, Stevenson, Lamb, Puka. Oh my gosh. So we get Puka and Achane at the 2-3 turn here. Then we get Andrews, Lamar at the 4-5 turn with a CeeDee Lamb start. We grab wide receiver values in the middle rounds with Higgins, Godwin. We find running backs with upside later with Trey Benson, Devin Singletary, Jerome Ford. Beautiful, beautiful team. I don't think you have to roster Kmet when you have Andrews. I wouldn't mind if you wanted to let go of Kmet, look for another running back off waivers. But yeah, great team. Okay. So let's move this over. Lucas says, is it bad I took Jefferson over St. Brown? I personally wouldn't do it with the McCarthy injury, but if you wanted to, I mean, I understand. Antony says, Mason, I live in Vegas, so I can't draft an Underdog to get the draft guide. How else should I get it? Should I use a VPN? No, you're not going to be able to use a VPN on Underdog. Underdog is fully regulated, so they're not like one of those shady offshore sites that would maybe let you. But if you wanted to purchase the draft guide, you can find it on flockfantasy.com, my friend. If you use code FLOCK on flockfantasy.com, you'll get 30% off any sub. And if you get the annual Mother Flocker sub, I will go through and make a podcast breaking down your fantasy football team, or break it down in a live stream in depth if you are wanting that. But yeah, you can find that link in the description. I just mainly promote the Underdog route because the Underdog route, I think, is one, really fun for people to get in mock drafts before the season. And two, it's cheaper where you only have to deposit $10 on Underdog, where the Mother Flocker monthly sub is $16 on flockfantasy.com. So it saves you $6 to do it on Underdog. Amit says, what's the way to go in a 12-team PPR league, one flex? When do you suggest? Also, I have the third pick. Is Hurts in the third too early? So if it's a single flex format, I think with the third pick, you're probably going to end up with either Lamb or Tyreek. Now at the 2-3 turn, because it's only a single flex league, I think you probably want to try to find a running back there. And if you really loved Jalen Hurts, I'm completely fine with you going him at the beginning of the third if you don't think you can get Mahomes or Lamar making it to you in the fourth. Now, Neurologic, always happy to see it, says, good evening, Mason. I got a keeper question. Full PBR, double flex league. Should I either, one, keep Stroud in the 16th, keep Tank in the 16th, or keep Achane in the 11th? So the difference between an 11th and a 16th round pick is not going to be massive for me. Also, in a double flex format, quarterback's just going to be slightly less important. So if I was ranking keepers there, I would go Achane, then Stroud, then Dell. But you probably keep Achane there, my guy. Isaac says 10-team full PBR pick 7. Bijan, Gibbs, Laporta, Mahomes, Waddle, Neighbors, Zamir, Keenan, Rome, Worthy, Javonte, Watson, Spears, Dowdle. So we get Bijan, Gibbs, Laporta. Yeah, this is a really strong team. The only thing is I don't really agree with the Zamir White pick, because if we go Bijan, Gibbs out the gate, then get the elite tight end with Laporta and the elite quarterback with Mahomes, at that point, when we go 0 wide receivers to the first 4 rounds, and we pivot over in round 5 to start soaking up these wide receiver values, such as Malik Neighbors, Jalen Waddle, phenomenal round 5 and round 6 picks, I think you probably should continue to go wide receiver there. So I don't know if I love the Zamir White pick, but you end up getting Keenan, Worthy, Rome anyway, so it works out for us. Great team. And yeah, that's why I always recommend, if you can, to go with the player like Sam Laporta, Patrick Mahomes, because it allows you down there on the bench to just dominate at wide receiver and running back. Dave says PPR, A.J. Brown, Jefferson, H.N. Cook, or Jefferson, Taylor, H.N. Collins. Also, A.J. Brown or Jefferson. Give me A.J. Brown over Jefferson. Also, James Cook or Rashad White. Give me James Cook. And then looking at this deal, so H.N. both on the same side. So it's really, do we want Taylor and Collins, or do we want A.J. Brown and James Cook? I'd rather have Jonathan Taylor and Nico Collins there. Now, John says, how to draft tonight, 12-team single flex second pick. Allen, Brees, Walker, Collins, Rice, Flowers, Kincaid, Ford, Algier, Leggett, Sticky Ricky, JSN, Brian Robinson. I like the team. In terms of the guys that we're keeping at the bottom end of this bench, I would say Sticky Ricky is a good example of a wide receiver that once we get to the start of the season, if Brandon Ayuk has not been traded, at that point, I think it would be a very easy spot to just go ahead and let go of Sticky Ricky in your shallow redraft league and maybe go pick up a running back that you like the usage with off the waiver wire in week 1. But here in round 4, we're going to go ahead. We will take Travis Kelce. So we took Stephon Diggs there, pick 32, because when you go with a running back round 1 on an underdog, more times than not, you're kind of playing catch up at wide receiver. So I think it's just a comfortable spot to go wide receiver, wide receiver. I think I can make an argument to rank Stephon Diggs over DK Metcalf anyway. So I'm kind of okay with the Stephon Diggs price tag. I would definitely recommend Diggs in the 4th round in your regular redraft league in comparison to the 3rd round on Underdog. But as I mentioned, you are going to see the wide receivers here get pushed up. Amon says 12-team PPR, 2 receivers, single flex. Full PPR, rate the squad. We have A.J. Brown, Gibbs, Laporta, Allen, Flowers, Keenan, Najee, Raheem, Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Tyler Algier, Brandon Cooks, Joshua Palmer. So single flex league, wide receiver depth's not going to matter too much. So as we go through and look at this, I like the team. First off, I just think we're potentially rostering too many wide receivers, especially when we went A.J. Brown in round 1. So we have A.J. Brown, Zay Flowers, Keenan Allen, Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Brandon Cooks, Joshua Palmer. We're rostering 7 receivers here. In comparison, over at running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert, and Tyler Algier. So definitely near the bottom end of that roster in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. I don't know if Brandon Cooks has the upside to really make a difference for you in your regular redraft format. I'd probably move on from Brandon Cooks and see if we can find a running back off the waiver wire. But love the elite tight end, love the elite quarterback, love the fact that we are going to be able to roster a ton of running backs down there. Okay. Now, Amari off the board at pick 54. Ridley goes. So I have been avoiding Christian Kirk primarily all offseason, but that was when he was going in round 4 on Underdog. Here, he's falling a decent bit. If you look at the way that ADP lines up, should be a little bit of a unique pick having the combo of Christian Kirk as well as Travis Kelce. So I think we're okay to go ahead and take him here. Is it something that I love? No, I don't. But it also gives us an option to go with another quarterback later on. Because if you look at this currently, we are in a spot that quarterback is going to be something that we have to think about. Now, of course, we have a couple different options here. I mean, we could end up going with Brock Purdy. We could end up going with CJ Stroud at pick 65. But this does also give us the ability to go Lawrence later on as well. So when we have that additional option with Trevor Lawrence, what I'll probably do here instead of taking Stroud at 65 is I may roll the dice that CJ Stroud makes it to us at pick 80. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, we are on the clock. Kenneth Walker goes. So if you're looking at this, I'm sorry, we're going to have to just take best available according to ADP as well. Keenan Allen, pick 65. We need a wide receiver still. If you're looking at the fact that we're playing catch up here, when we have Bijan, when we already have Kelce. So looking at this, I think taking Keenan, we play catch up at the wide receiver position. And at the same time, we're able to go ahead. We're able to potentially get another quarterback target a little later on with Caleb Williams here. So Keenan, not the worst pick in the world here at 65, has been a faller due to the quote-unquote weight concerns that you have out of Chicago. Now, Sir Yeti, always happy to see us, says 10 PPR double flex. We have Tyreek Harrison. Since it's a full PPR double flex league, I think you can start wide receiver. Jacobs, Evans, Walker, Terry, Neighbors, Kyler. So we have Hill, Harrison, Evans, Terry, Neighbors. Okay. Then Zeke, Brown, Goddard, Frymuth was offered Terry and a tight end for Brock Bowers. So you essentially would trade Terry McLaurin and Pat Frymuth for Bowers. Since it's a 10-team league where depth doesn't matter too much, I'm okay if you wanted to do it. But I think you're probably better off looking for a tight end in the tier above. If you can get Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, I think that would be an absolute no-brainer if you could do that. Rob says, why start when you're already drafting? Mike, I'm constantly drafting. Constantly. Lucas says, rate the team in a 12-team PPR. We have Lamar, Henry, Jacobs, Jefferson, Moore, Kincaid, Kirk. On the bench, we have Pollard, Moss, Palmer, Hollywood, Dobbs, Chuba, and Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne, for sure, go ahead and move on from him. My guy, there's just absolutely no upside for a wide receiver like that in a regular redraft league. That's a perfect example of somebody that may make a difference in your underdog draft, but in your draft on ESPN, Yahoo, NFL Fantasy, wherever it is, just go ahead, let go of Kendrick Bourne. You can find somebody else with more upside off the waiver wire. Looking at the elite quarterback with Lamar, we have Kincaid as well, so we don't have to roster the backup quarterback, backup tight ends. We have top end running back and wide receiver production. One thing that I'm personally doing is in a full PPR format, I wouldn't mind going through and throwing Derrick Henry on the trade block just to see what we could get, but not something you have to do. But in a full PPR league, I don't think Henry's going to catch the ball a ton. Now, after we go Keenan Allen, we have 4 wide receivers. At this point, I'm okay with seeing wide receivers off the board. I definitely like seeing guys that I have no interest in drafting, such as Curtis Samuel. It is worth noting that Brock Bowers does go very early here. Brock Bowers goes off at pick 72. Now, it would obviously be just a straight-up dream if we could get either George Kittle or C.J. Stroud at pick 80. I think that goes without being said. I mean, Kittle goes. I'm not going to sit here and throw a fit about it. You kind of are expecting Kittle to go. The team in front of us doesn't have a Houston Texans, so I actually think that we have a really good shot of getting C.J. Stroud off the board at pick 80 here. So let's see if it happens. And we have Stephon Diggs. So the C.J. Stroud selection for us is a no-brainer. I really like this team. In your regular redraft league, I would definitely not go this light on running back just because they'll be harder to find later. But on Underdog, where we're going to be able to slam good running back values coming up soon, really like it. Quarterback, we have C.J. Stroud stacked up with Stephon Diggs. We have the elite tight end with Travis Kelce. We have the hero RB with Bijan Robinson. And a wide receiver, we have Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen. Really like this room. But Brandon says we got the 9th pick in a PPR draft where we have Lamar, Gibbs, JT, Debo, Flowers, McBride, Kirk, Rice, Brooks, Brian Robinson, Brian Thomas, Gus, and A.D. Mitchell. Great squad. What I would potentially look to do is I think I would potentially look to see if we could package together McBride and one of these guys at the very bottom end of the team like A.D. Mitchell that may not matter and see if we could just pivot over to Mark Andrews since we have Lamar Jackson to get the Lamar and Andrews stack. I think it's a solid team. Now, John says, please rank standard ESPN 8-team league. So 8-team league, obviously, expectations are dramatically higher if you're in an 8-team format. I do need to ask y'all real quick. I have noticed Aaron Jones falling down draft boards. Did we get any Aaron Jones news today? Like, is there a reason why Aaron Jones has been falling this far? We'll go ahead. We'll take him at pick 89. We kind of need another running back, right? We are only sitting with Bijan Robinson here. And Aaron Jones, if you look at your redraft leagues, this is somebody that on ESPN Yahoo, you have taken like rounds 4 or 5. Here, we're going to get him around 8, so I think it's a much better price. But anyway, 8-team league, super high expectations. We have Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, so wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2. I'd say Garrett Wilson's a wide receiver 1 in a 12-team league, but be a wide receiver 1 in an 8-team league, you got to be a top 8 guy, which maybe he is. But wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, we have Achane, Pacheco, Walker, London, Kincaid, Richardson, Robinson, Godwin, JSN, Spears. 2 defenses. 1, I would only roster 1 defense. I think that we would let go of probably the Pittsburgh Steelers defense there and just hold on to the Jets. Unless the Jets have a really bad... Actually, the Jets have a really bad week 1 matchup. I believe that they are going up against the Niners. So maybe we play the Steelers week 1. I don't know who the Steelers week 1 matchup is off the top of my head. But then afterwards, we rely on the Jets. We move on from Pittsburgh. And then here, if we have the ability, since it's an 18 league, I would love to package together, say, the combo of like... I don't know. If we could go package together Chris Godwin and Devon Achane and move up to a running back like Zamir Gibbs. Actually, if it's a standard format, you know what? I would love to go running back heavier. If it's a standard league, if we could package together, say, Drake London even with a running back like Pacheco and move up and get a big 3 guy such as Brees, Bijan, CMC. CMC is not going to be attainable. But if you could go Achane, London, and go get Brees, Achane, London, and go get Bijan, or really any of those wide receivers not named St. Brown Wilson, I think it makes a lot of sense in an 8-team standard league. But next question coming out from Lil Andy says, full PBR 12-team, 2 flex, 1 super flex. At first overall, last year first round was almost all quarterbacks. Should I take CMC, Lamb, or Allen first overall? If you know your league mates are going to slam elite quarterbacks out the gate, you get the best guy, you go ahead and you take Josh Allen. It's very difficult to answer Superflex redraft questions. Superflex Dynasty is easy because the Dynasty market is very fluid where pretty much you have that set in stone price for a lot of these guys. But in your redraft league, it's all very dependent on the league that you're in. But if you know your league mates are going to go, oh my gosh, DeAndre Hopkins, great report today saying that he's expected to be back for week 1. We get him here at pick 104. This is one of the best ball mania teams I've drafted this year. We get a wide receiver 5 before the tier drop truly happens. Obviously, Hopkins is going much later now than he was pre-injury. Hopkins used to go in round 6. Here we're getting him at pick 104. Love it. DK says, yo, you're the man. 12-team app PBR, double flex, tight end defense. Pick 4, do we go with wide receiver first because we have 2 flexes? I think I still probably go Brees and Bijan. But with you having 2 flexes, I think you can pivot over to wide receiver earlier in rounds 2 and 3. But obviously, if Lamb or Tyreek fall to you at 4, you take them. I'm assuming they go 2 and 3, though. Mr. Squirrel says, ESPN PBR, 10-team double flex. Pick 9, would you suggest drafting wide receivers rounds 1 through 4, an elite quarterback rounds 5 and 6, and elite tight end in round 7 plus? If you're on ESPN, no, I would not suggest that. If you're on ESPN, I think at pick 9, you potentially start off with at least someone like Zamir Gibbs. If you wanted to go A.J. Brown and Zamir Gibbs, I think you do that. But I think you stay way more flexible. Don't try to box yourself into a corner like that. Okay, but on the way back around here, I think that we can definitely look at 2 separate quarterbacks. I mean, either Caleb Williams or Brock Purdy would make sense for us. Caleb would pair up with Keenan. Purdy would pair up with Debo. And honestly, I think we're just going to take kind of whoever's there. So Rico Dowdle goes off the board to pick 111. So we will take Caleb Williams at pick 113 to pair with Keenan Allen. This is a beautiful team. I'm sorry, we're crushing here. Y'all know usually I'm the first person to admit, oh my gosh, I'm garbage. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just drafted the worst team in the world. This one's pretty decent. Running back Bijan, CJ Stroud. I'm sorry, running back Bijan, Aaron Jones. See, you can see that I'm dumb. I think CJ Stroud's a running back. Wide receiver, Debo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins. Tight end, Kelsey. We have Stroud stacked up with Diggs. We have Caleb stacked up with Keenan. Really like this team. Now, Duran says, 12-team PBR 101, gave up having an elite quarterback to get the high floor flex and an elite tight end at the 5-6 turn. Tua, Ayuk, Waddle, CMC, Swift, T, Kincaid. How are we feeling? Really like that Kincaid made it to us that far in a 12-team league. Having Tua stacked up with Waddle is nice. I would definitely be rostering 2 quarterbacks there and almost playing the matchups between Tua and a second option. Jose says, in a 12-team PPR league, we have Mahomes, CMC, Montgomery, Debo, Pittman, Connor, and Njoku. We have Addison and Singletary on the bench. So we have a Debo, CMC paired up, same team. Full PPR format, I'm a little bit less inclined to go with Montgomery and James Conner, just given the overall limited usage that they should have as receivers. So I think Montgomery would potentially be somebody that if he starts off hot with the Jahmyr Gibbs injury, I wouldn't mind throwing Montgomery on the trade block, specifically in a full PPR format where a fully healthy Jahmyr Gibbs, we expect to have every single target out of the backfield. But a myth out again says, assuming Pat and Lamb don't make it to me at 4, who do you suggest going running backs rounds 2 and 3, or for going someone like Kyler in the 5th and 6th with Hill? Is it okay to get HN in the 2nd? Completely fine to go with HN in the 2nd. I understand you'll have 2 Miami Dolphins, but Miami projects that to be a top 5 offense in the NFL in total points scored this year, according to Vegas Sportsbooks. I would much prefer, like in round 3, if you get the option to go Mahomes, get the option to go with Allen, get the option to go with Hurts, I would definitely prefer just drafting one of those guys in round 3 rather than in round 5 getting Kyler Murray. Because what I have found is, like, once the truly elite quarterbacks go off the board, the next tier down to like CJ Stroud in your regular redraft league or Kyler Murray, they only go like a round or 2 later. Whereas on Underdog, like, I think that these are probably more accurate prices. You'll see Josh Allen go off the board in round 4. And then Joe Burrow doesn't go off until round 8, right? There is a pretty big gap between those guys where, at least from what I've seen in regular redraft leagues, like the tier 2 options at quarterback go pretty much immediately after. But Jared Goff off the board to pick 124. And real quick, see that we already hit 300 likes on this stream. So we will be firing up another draft after this one. And of course, thank you so much for everybody who's gone down there and hit that like button. So Blake Corum off the board. I have noticed Gus Edwards falling in drafts a considerable amount as of late. I don't know if people are excited about the Vidal performance that you had yesterday. Jerome Ford is for sure in play as well, just given the injury that you have to Chubb. We're not going to take Tua. I'm going to go with Jerome Ford. I think you can make a strong argument for Gus Edwards. I'm just a little bit nervous because literally every single draft I'm in at the moment, he is falling a considerable amount. So I kind of want to see where he goes in this draft. Now, Dang Shoot says, you mentioned in the Yahoo video to use the consensus ADP list. Could you elaborate how to use that list and the overall rankings list together to draft? So if you were going through and if you were going to just go to your draft, right, and you need something really quick to reference, what you're going to find is when you go ahead and when you like pull up ESPN, Yahoo, or whatever, that ADP list that they give you is just absolutely garbage. I would not concern yourself with it unless you're trying to predict what your league mates are going to do. But I think you can use the overall ADP list as a basis of what the value should be. And if you wanted to make your own rankings list and use maybe your rankings list and my rankings list and cross-reference them to make your decision, I think that would make a lot of sense. But that 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, I would just highly recommend using that in place of the ESPN ADP they give you, in place of the Yahoo ADP that they give you, so you can know which guys you should actually be looking at. So what I would possibly do if I were you is if you are going to go to like a physical draft, or even if you're doing the draft on your computer, I would print out that ADP cheat sheet. And then as soon as a player is drafted, just go ahead and cross them off the list. That way you have a very clear idea of the guys that are available according to the actual values that they should be and not the skewed values on just the single platform you're on. Now we're still going to go ahead, play catch up at running back here. We're going to take Austin Eckler at pick 137. It's actually funny. If you look at redraft leagues right now, Eckler goes about 6 rounds before him going here. Not 6 rounds. He goes about 4 to 5 rounds before. But John says 12-team PPR, single flex second pick. What are your thoughts? Richardson, Brees, Pollard, Adams, London, Ingram, Waddle. Love the wide receiver production in a full PPR format. On the bench, we have Keenan, Singletary, Benson, Dowdle, A.D. Mitchell, Charbonnet, Palmer. I like it. I do think that Evan Ingram's probably in a tier where if you wanted to move on from one of the depth wide receivers at the bottom, such as like A.D. Mitchell, and roster as second tight ends, I think you can do so. Now, Isaiah says Laporta or Andrews and Jacobs for Kincaid and Barkley. I would go Kincaid Barkley. My guy, I'm happy to see you back with us this year. I know you've been with us forever. And out of those three options, Kincaid Barkley is by far and away the best. Okay. Parlay Pig says, do you ever try to stack quarterback running backs? Example, Josh Allen, James Cook. So a couple different things. When you are taking a quarterback and a running back on the same team, you are making a consolidated bet that offense just scores more overall points than sportsbooks are projecting. I think if you're in your regular redraft league, it's and maybe something that you can go ahead and look to do. If you're in an underdog draft, I think doing so in a high-stakes, smaller field contest does make sense because you don't need the massive spike weeks in weeks 15, 16, 17 to advance. You just kind of need that one offense to maybe be better than people are expecting. And obviously, it comes down to the running back quarterbacks that you've been taking together. Like if you look at Derrick Henry's not going to have a lot of points that cross over with Lamar Jackson. There aren't going to be a ton of dump offs there in that backfield. However, if you look at Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, you could see a game where Brock Purdy goes out, has 300 passing yards, has 4 passing touchdowns, and CMC has 80 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns at the same time. So I think you can't look to stack running backs and quarterbacks from the same offense. I think it really is going to depend on the format that you're in and what running back and quarterback you are looking for. In your regular redraft league, obviously you don't need to be thinking about it too much. Now, the quarterback values look great here. Like Justin Herbert at pick 152 would be very exciting. But when we already have Stroud and Caleb, I mean, we can go with the third quarterback, but I just wouldn't want to do so for quite some time. So instead, I think we're going to look to go running back, wide receiver, tight ends. Dotson's been falling a considerable amount just given the concerning usage and the concerning remarks from this coaching staff. Not really willing to say that Jahan Dotson's the wide receiver 2. So I'll take Dotson here. In your regular redraft league, don't bother taking him. At best, he's the wide receiver 2 in a low volume passing offense. But here specifically on Underdog, I mean, if we're going to get some random spike weeks, it may not be that bad. But Alfredo says 12-team keeper league. Quarterback, we have Mahomes. Running back, we have Gibbs, Connor. Receiver, we have Adams, Amari. Tight end, we have Laporta. And the flex, we have Godwin and Keon. Full PPR, double flex format. I do like that. I'll say early on the season, probably not wanting to rely on Keon Coleman. Like I'm definitely not starting in week 1. But yeah, full PPR format. Looks like we're going after running backs that are going to catch the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. We have the elite tight end, elite quarterback. I just roster as many running backs, wide receivers you can down there on the bench. Now, Sharney, always happy to see this. Says, just finished my draft on ESPN regular lineup format. I picked a 12. My draft went Jefferson, Gibbs. Beautiful. I have no idea how Jefferson fell to you at 12. Josh Allen, Kupp, Pitts, Dell, Rice, Mostert, Brian Thomas Jr., Ford, Dobbs, Dowdle, Charbonnet, Chuba. What are your thoughts? Work of art. The only thing is when we get down there to looking at guys like Dobbs, I don't know if we're already rostering so many running backs though. I mean, we have Gibbs, Mostert, Ford, Dowdle, Charbonnet, Chuba. So I want to say we don't really need Dobbs on this team. I don't know if he makes that much sense as a pick, but honestly, it just doesn't matter when we're also getting all the upside there with the bench running backs anyway. So, a couple different things. Jaleel had a good game. We'll take Jaleel here. I mean, we need another running back. If you look at his usage, he got on the field a ton with the starters. Looked like he was potentially at times the third down running back here. Looks like he is for sure going to have a role this year. Obviously, Javonte projects out to be the starter. My main concern that I have with Jaleel, obviously, is Vegas is projecting this to be a bad offense, but they look decent in the preseason. I mean, they look really good today. At least Bo Nix did. Now, Dusty says, sleeper 18 PPR, pick 1, CMC, Tyreek, or Lamb. 18 league, the only thing that matters is upside. You don't have to worry about the floor, so we're going to go CMC. Amon says, I have 2 more drafts at picks 9 and 10. Single flex, 2 receivers. Should I start both out with double running backs? I think it really is going to depend on what makes it to you. If you can go potentially Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, then go for it. But if all of a sudden you're having to look at Derrick Henry, you're having to look at Achane, you're having to look at Pacheco, you're having to look to push one of those running backs up to the 1-2 turn, probably not. But I think you're probably wanting to stay balanced there. And I never want to say you have to go running back, right? You really want the draft room to fall to you. But if you wanted to go running back receiver, I think that could be interesting. Dylan, happy to see it, says 10-team league, pick 8, full PPR. We have Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Hall, Jacobs, Chubb, Brown, Algier, Puka, Collins, Neighbors, Higgins, Reed, Coleman. Don't tell my mom, she'll get mad, my guy. For the love of God, do not be, please, do not, this goes to anybody here. And I am not joking. I'm being 100% serious when I say this. For the love of God, never donate a super chat. If you are a kid, probably not a good idea at all. Especially if you're like taking your mom's card, my guy, for the love of God, do not be doing that. That is horrendous. I'd be so mad if my kid was doing that. We're going to take Sticky Ricky. We'll pair him up with Debo. We'll go, what if you have Ayuk still getting dealt? Probably not, but what if? We'll go, what if Ayuk gets injured? What if Kittle gets injured? And all of a sudden you have a boosted target share for both Debo and Sticky Ricky. Or, maybe just what if this Niners offense is phenomenal? But anyway, I think it's a good team. But when you have Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, my guy, for the love of God, go through and at least try to sell Kyler, try to package him with the running back and see if we can get an elite guy in return. Now, Bucky Irving off the board at 177. Bateman, Jalen McMillan go immediately after. So after we take Sticky Ricky, we are going to be done at wide receiver here. What we're probably going to do as well is I'm going to make our selection at 185. Then I think we're going to be done in this draft, and I'm going to fire up a new one. And let me just pull up the draft on my phone to make sure that I'm not going to miss anything. Okay. Got that on my phone. Y'all can hear the dog barking. But let me scream at her real quick. Bad dog. But anyway, Hank says, ESPN single flex, full PPR, 18 league and pick 7. Went Bijan Gibbs, Kelsey Allen. Love getting the elite tight end, elite quarterback in an 8-team league. Pretty much nothing really else matters. Evans, Debo, Waddle, Walker. It looks really good, but every team in an 8-team league is going to look good. If you are trying to exploit an 8-team format, here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to go Sam Darnold as a unique combo with... Actually, no, crap. I'm an idiot. For a second, I thought this was a Justin Jefferson team. I'm way off the rails. We're going to take Will Levis. I know it looks like we're going overboard on quarterback, but if you look at where we took these guys, wrong move there. If you look at where we took these guys, we took C.J. Stroud at pick 80, Caleb Williams at 113, Will Levis at 185. I think we can get away with it. But yeah, 8-team league, love having the elite quarterback and elite tight end. If you're in an 8-team league, a 10-team league, a very easy way that you can go ahead and you can look to exploit that format is by going through and just real quick, we're going to hop in another draft here. We're going to get in another Best Ball Mania draft, largest fantasy football tournament on the planet, just in case you didn't know. $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $1.5 million for first. I know I've said this time and time again, but we actually got 16th place in this tournament, which that year the payout structure was a little bit different. It was more top heavy. So 16th place was only 10,000. This year that would have been 100,000. So hopefully you get 16th place this year. Hopefully I get first, but it is what it is. But yeah, if you're in that 8-team league, if you're in that 10-team league, for sure make sure that you are just going through and you are trying to exploit by making as many 2-for-1 deals as you possibly can. Take depth wide receivers. See if you can upgrade anywhere inside the starting lineup, because the guy that you're going to backfill from the waiver wire with should be a really quality option. Card says, I have Josh Allen. When McBride, Andrews, Kincaid are available in round 5, do I take Kincaid or pass on all undrafted tight end later. I love all these tight ends at this price point. If I have Allen, I'm probably going to go Kincaid in round 5. P. Boda says, strategy for a 12-team $3 draft on Underdog, stacks or best value. So if you're not doing an Underdog tournament and you are just drafting in the typical lobby, you're no longer looking for the true highest ceiling possible. And if you're just doing a 12-team league on Underdog, you're instead looking for the highest median projection. So stacks are still advantageous, but it's not everything. Sesvi says 12-team PPR Superflex. We have Dak and Goff, St. Brown, Flowers, Rice. Running back, we have Pacheco, Jacobs. Tight end, we have Kincaid. On the bench, we have Stafford, Kirk, Douglas, Mooney, Chase Brown, Algier, Elijah Mitchell, Bigsby. The bench seems like garbage. I feel like, to be honest with you, my guy, you'd be able to find better options down there on the bench. I'm surprised to see that's what this bench is. But the starting lineup is really nice. And I will say, if you're playing in a super flex format where you don't have additional flex spots, like you're not starting a super flex and then 2 flexes, quarterback's going to make up such a high percentage of your lineup that it really does advantage you to just go get 2 elite quarterbacks early. Now, Captain Carpenter says, hey, Dad, which team would you rather have? 14 team, full PBR. Team 1, Tyreek, JT, Allen, Kincaid, Higgins. Team 2, Lamb, Tyreek, tomato, doesn't matter. JT versus Cook. Give me JT by mile. Allen versus Mahomes. It looks like this is going to be the same start that we had in the last draft. We're going to go ahead. We will take Bijan Robinson. But Allen versus Mahomes. Give me Allen, but it's kind of close. Kincaid versus Rice. Give me Kincaid, but it's kind of close. Higgins versus Flowers. It's kind of up to you. It's very close. I think we probably go ahead and take the Tyreek team. I think we take team 1. Okay. Now, Jake says 12-team PBR, get 1 keeper, Jefferson, Hall, or Amon-Ra. I would go with Brees Hall if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. If you can start like 4 more receivers, I think you can consider St. Brown. But after we take Bijan, you have A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison all off the board. So typically on a Bijan Robinson start, we're kind of hoping to see some running backs get drafted. Just that way we don't have to, like, if Jonathan Taylor's sitting there at pick 17, obviously in your regular redraft league, you go Bijan, you go Jonathan Taylor, you don't think twice. But here it is a little scary. Dylan says, I got Kyler in round 11, so I'm 15 with my own card. Okay, just double checking my guy, but still, if you're 15, for the love of God, if your mom would not approve to you donating $2 to this live stream, I would think about it twice. Okay, yeah. Here's the spot that we thought we would be in. Jonathan Taylor here. F it. Let's go. Let's ride. The main reason being is, 1, I don't want to go Deebo Samuel again, have the same start that we did in the last draft. And 2, I don't want to reach on someone like Jalen Waddle and then have 1,000 people screaming at me that have never done an Underdog draft. Oh my gosh, you idiot. I can't believe you took Jalen Waddle there. So I'm going to show you what happens when you go running back. We're going to go Jonathan Taylor. We're going to be playing catch up at wide receiver through the rest of this draft. And we're going to send up a prayer that we can find some decent values. But yeah, if you got Kyler in round 11, I understand that, my guy. But obviously, any opportunity we get, we're looking to sell. P. Boda says 8-team non-PBR and ESPN. By the way, is there no half PBR on ESPN? I don't know, my guy. I don't draft on ESPN. Would love your thoughts on general strategy. 8-team non-PPR format, I don't care about wide receiver. It matters so much to get an elite quarterback. It matters so much to get in the top end running backs. You really need to. Henry says he wanted the big dog. I tried to get in one, my guy. There's nobody in the lobby right now. I entered in on my phone. There were 11 spots open. I'll enter in the $500 draft on Underdog right now on my phone. I will tell you all how many people are in there, and you're more than welcome to enter in if you're trying to just get my free $500. I just got in now, and there are 10 spots open. So just to let everybody know here, if there are 10 people watching this, which, like I said, if you are new to Underdog, for the love of God, do not even consider it. But if you are an Underdog veteran and you know, hey, this Mason Dodd guy has no idea what the hell he's talking about, I want to go take his $500. I am in the Big Dog draft lobby. Somebody else just joined. There are 9 spots open if you want to get in with us. And I'll stay in this lobby until the live stream ends. But yeah, 8-team non-PPR league. Go running back out the gate. Get an elite quarterback. But yeah, just slam running backs early. Wide receiver is going to make up a small percentage of your lineup. Now, real quick, of course, if you don't know what we are doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. Like I said, if you're new, for the love of God, don't even consider the $500 drafts. Just do the $5 drafts. A ton of fun, great practice for your main fantasy football league. They're best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. So I draft hundreds of teams every offseason. So I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And of course, if you want to join a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. If you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog, you'll get my 2024 rankings, my 2024 draft guide, plus a 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, which I'd highly recommend you take to the drafts. The draft guide, you do your research with. The cheat sheet, take to your drafts. And then, yeah, you'll also get a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1. You do need to be in one of these states, however, if you want to draft on Underdog. But let's move it over. CJ says, 10-team, 2 quarterback, start full PPR. Is it worth keeping Cousins with my third? No, it is not. All 9 other teams are keeping a starting quarterback and keeping Tyreek in the second. Also, any tips? There's a chance you could end up drafting Kirk Cousins in the third. And the thing is, here's a tip with a 10-team Superflex league or a 10-team 2-quarterback league. If you do the supply and demand ratio here of quarterback in a 10-team league, everybody should be able to have 3 starters and a couple teams should have the ability to get 4. Whereas if you look at, say, a 12-team format, that's just simply not going to be the case. If you look at a 14-team league, everybody's going to be struggling to just get 2. So in a 10-team league, you're always going to have decent values falling to you at quarterback. So to keep someone like Kirk Cousins in third, I wouldn't recommend it, my friend. California, happy to see you, says, 12-team full BBR double flex, draft Chase, Wilson, HN the first 3 rounds. Could have gone Gibbs and Collins rounds 2 and 3 instead. Did we mess up? So Chase, I love the first 3 rounds. If we're looking at HN versus Collins, so would I rather have Gibbs, Collins, or Garrett Wilson, HN? Probably Garrett Wilson, HN. Actually, I don't know. It's damn close. Regardless, I do really like the team. There have not been many instances I've seen people be able to pair up Chase and Wilson together. Okay. Now, Milan says 10-team Yahoo full PBR, got the 5th pick. Jefferson or Chase. If I take Chase, do I grab an elite quarterback 4th round or wait for Burrow in the 6th? See, this is something. One, give me Chase over Jefferson now that you have the McCarthy injury. And this is something we were talking about previously. The elite quarterbacks such as Lamar, Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, one of those guys will fall to you in the 4th round more likely than not. Your options are you either take one of those guys in the 4th round or you wait till the end of your draft and you take 2 guys that look like Tua and Trevor Lawrence. I think it's very bad to pass on the elite quarterbacks in round 4 and then just turn around and take Joe Burrow 2 rounds later. There's not a big enough gap between the elite guys and Burrow, and from a cost perspective to justify that. Now, here is the issue with going running back on Underdog. You put yourself in a position that no matter what, you have to go wide receiver in rounds 3 and 4. So we'll go DJ Moore, and then we'll follow it up with T. Higgins. I do prefer Higgins over Amari. And we're still probably going to be going wide receiver soon. We're probably going to go wide receiver 56 and may go wide receiver at 65. We're going to be playing catch up. Vinny says, hey, Mason, when is the Flock Fantasy meetup? The meetup is Thursday. This Thursday, August 22nd, my guy. In Austin, Texas. Saw that a couple more people got some tickets today, which is very exciting. So it looks like there should be a decent amount of people there. I'm really excited about it. Like I've said, I'm very sorry that we have to sell tickets just because it's indoors this year. I have to tell the venue how many people are coming. The only reliable way I can do that is with a ticket. But we're giving away free merch. It's half price beer there as well. So I promise you I'm losing money on this. It's $15, flockfantasy.store if you're wanting to come out. It's August 22nd, Austin, Texas. That's this Thursday in Austin, Texas. And see all the information on the screen right now and also on the site. And there are going to be a ton of fantasy football YouTubers there. Sacred Zilla says, got Gibson, Barkley, and Wilson. It's a keeper league. I get one this year. Goes up next. I wanted Gibbs. Who do I go with? I would prefer Jahmyr Gibbs over the other options, especially in a keeper league. Boomer Sooner. Hell yes. Happy to see you. Says, ready for that SEC, boss man. My guy. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I wish I could go to the Texas OU game. I'm going to, for sure at some point, when I retire from YouTube, 10 years from now, 2 years from now, to be honest, I will be there. But anyway, I keep getting Demario Douglas on the board still in the middle rounds. Don't know much about him. Tell me, sir. So the issue with Douglas is it looks like he maybe, at least the preseason usage, gave some indications that he may only be playing in 3 wide receiver sets. He may be just a slot wide receiver for New England. I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure. I'm just going through the red flags with Douglas. So the usage may be a little bit concerning, where it's not like he's guaranteed to get the most targets on this team. Plus, if you look at sportsbooks right now, they are projecting out the New England Patriots to be the worst offense in the NFL. So I think Demario Douglas is a good example of a wide receiver that only matters on Underdog. Where if you take him at wide receiver 70 on Underdog, he turns out to be the wide receiver 35 and he gives you a couple random spike weeks, cool. That's a great pick. But in your regular redraft league, if you're taking Demario Douglas, you're pretty much just wasting a roster spot. There you needed the receiver to have top 20 overall upside, and there's just almost no shot that happens with Douglas. That team at 4 deciding to go ahead and take 5 wide receivers straight, which puts us in a very tough spot, of course, when I'm sitting here fiending for a receiver. Like, y'all know how much I love Kincaid, and even if Kincaid makes it to us at 56, really the only thing we can do here is wide receiver when we start Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor through the first 2 rounds. And your regular redraft league, feel fine to go ahead and take Dalton Kincaid here. Just specifically in this draft, we can't. But Alex says 12-team PPR, 3 receiver, single flex, 10th pick. We have Allen at quarterback. Wide receiver, we have Wilson, Harrison, Kupp, Rice, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Polk. Running back, we have Cook, Mostert, Najee, Corum, Chuba. Tight end, we have Fant. I'm a biased Hawks fan, which is fine. But if you were rostering Fant, I would definitely try to prefer, not prefer, but I would opt to roster a second tight end there as well. Just someone like Tyler Conklin if possible. We're going to go ahead. We will take Xavier Worthy at pick 56. Hook 'em horns. He's my most drafted Chiefs wide receiver based off the price point that Rashee Rice was at earlier in the offseason. Probably wish it was Rice, but it's a lot better than having Hollywood as your most drafted guy. But maybe we should have not played it so safe. Maybe we should have just gone ahead and taken Dalton Kincaid and then taken a wide receiver at pick 65. But I don't know. I'm a little bit of a chicken here. I know that wide receiver is going to get real ugly real quick, so taking him here is fine. But yeah, if you have Fant as your standalone tight end, I'd roster 2 tight ends, especially when we have the elite quarterbacks. We only have to roster one of those guys. And then beyond that, I think it's a really strong team. And I like that we built around receiver specifically in a full PPR league where you start 3 and a flex. Now, Shua says 12-team non-PPR double flex, 3 wide receiver league. So here, if you can start, obviously, as we mentioned previously, if you have not seen, watch the video about exploiting your league mates. It's talking about exploiting league settings there. What I would look to do is I would look to try to slam running backs in the flex spots. We want to be starting 4 running backs every week. Here we have Pollard, Laporta, Kincaid, Rice, Benson, Dowdle, Chandler, Sticky Ricky, Ray Davis, Purdy, St. Brown, Waddle, Ridley. Not a massive fan of this, my guy. Non-PPR format, we're really not wanting to put a tight end in that flex spot. Running back, we're starting Pollard, Benson. My issue with this is it seems like it was a team that was drafted for a full PPR league when we're playing in a non-PPR league. So what I would really look to do here is, if possible, if we could go ahead and trade Kincaid for a viable running back, go trade Kincaid for someone like Kenneth Walker, considering it's a non-PPR format. I think that would make a ton of sense. Okay. So looking at what's available here, the best available wide receiver would be Deontay Johnson. There is no part of me that is capable of taking Deontay Johnson over Anthony Richardson. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Anthony Richardson here at pick 65. I think the wide receiver in Deontay Johnson is not too much better than the option that we'll be looking at pick 80 on the way back around. And now that I know that Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Rome Odunze, Christian Watson all go before a pick at 65, I'm happy with our decision to take Xavier Worthy over Dalton Kincaid where we did. But Zach, thank you for the donation, my guy. And Cart says, if I end up in a 0 RB build, after what RBs fall off the board, should I start panicking without a running back drafted yet? So it really does depend on your league format. If you're playing in a full PPR league where you can start like 5 or more receivers, like it's a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, there, my guy, just crush it receiver, crush it the flex. You're going to be fine. And look for guys like Jerome Ford, Rico Dowdle, Chase Brown super late. Maybe they have roles at the beginning of the year we can be excited about. Maybe they don't. We can play the waiver wire if they don't. But if you're in like a 2 wide receiver single flex league and Kenneth Walker, David Montgomery are off the board by the time you have looked at the running back position, there I'd begin to worry just because of that format. Now, what you're talking about says, standard PPR keeper league, on the fence of keeping Pickens or Amari as my 7th. One of them or don't keep. I would definitely keep them because you may not be able to draft them there. And I think Pickens, Amari project out very similarly for this season. Maybe you give the slight edge to Amari Cooper. But given the age gap that you have between the two players, I think we would keep George Pickens there. Now, Dames Golf says, me and my friends are starting a 10-team PPR Dynasty League. I've only done ESPN redraft leagues. What advice would you give me going into it? One, on flockfantasy.com, we have free community rankings for Dynasty Fantasy Football, so I'd highly recommend using that through your startup draft. 2, please don't tell me you're drafting a Dynasty League on ESPN. I would recommend Sleeper for Dynasty Fantasy Football in particular. And 3, if you want a bunch of my Dynasty content, I'm not posting there as much now that we're doing these underdog drafts every night because we're so close to the season. But if you look at Dynasty Football Flock, my friend, I put out, there are probably 100 plus Dynasty videos I put out this offseason. I love Dynasty. That's actually what I got started on YouTube doing. I mean, Dynasty. I will be honest with y'all. I am enjoying the underdog drafts more than Dynasty at this point of my life. But from like 2014 through like 2022, I was just, Dynasty was my true love. That was the main thing that I was all about in terms of my own personal leagues and what really excited me. Now, of course, you win 150,000 in best ball 2022. All of a sudden, maybe Dynasty's not as exciting as I thought it was. And now I'm a little bit more into best ball, but regardless, I freaking love Dynasty. Now, if we're looking at the ability to take Stroud here, we don't have it. We don't have a Houston Texan option. We are going to go ahead. We are going to take Keon Coleman. Let's fire up the rookie wide receivers in great offenses. We'll take Keon Coleman unstacked, but we need wide receiver production. He has upside late in the year. Now, Miz says, one more, Allen or Hurts in the 3rd. I would definitely go with Josh Allen there. For example, I got Travis in the 2nd and Pacheco is still there in the 3rd. Do we go quarterback still and take the running back wide receiver depth later or take Pacheco there at the 3rd pick? I have Tyree. I would probably prefer still going with the elite quarterback there at the 2-3 turn, specifically if it's a 2 wide receiver single flex format, my friend. The more flex spots that you add in, the less you're excited to go through and take the elite quarterback because they'll make up a slightly smaller percentage of your starting lineup output. But if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, just go with Allen or Hurts. Now, welcome to the flock, JFWI. Jordan says, are there any general tips you'd recommend for a 16-team redraft work league? So if you're playing in like a 16-team league, or this even somewhat applies to a 14-team format as well, you're going to notice that there are massive swings one way or another. There are massive swings in certain rounds where, say you're picking at pick 15, for example. You make your pick at pick 15, you make your pick at pick 18, and then you're not going to be on the board again for another 30 picks. there will be a run on running backs that occur that 18 running backs go off the board between your next two picks, which just put you in a position that it's so difficult to come out of. We're going to take Joe Burrow here at pick 89, pairing up Burrow with Higgins and only having to draft a total of 2 quarterbacks. This will give us an extra roster spot for wide receiver later. Obviously, the only reason we're doing this is it's best ball. You would never take another quarterback this early when you took Anthony Richardson as your first guy. But yeah, so what I would recommend in a 14-team league and a 16-team league is I would try to stay really balanced. Don't get cute and go, oh, I'm going to go wide receiver at the 1-2 turn. I'm going to try to go with the 0 RB build because there may be 0 running backs by the time it gets back to you. So I love, like, if you're at a turn, going with a wide receiver and a running back, trying to take the best players available and trying to be more flexible with the overall draft board. But Boomer Sooner says, I'll be at Red River this year. You got to pull through, boss. First SEC. I'd imagine it'd be so fun, my guy. I've not been able to go to a UT game just because football. Because football season is my job now, but I've been able to go to a UT football game since 2019. And I miss it, my guy. JFW says, how do I join the next $25 draft with you tonight? So essentially, when we get into Best Ball Mania, you'll see how many spots are open. It's not a guarantee if you join at the same time of us. Sometimes you'll get into the next draft, especially if I join and there are only like 2 spots that are open. But essentially joining the same time as I do. Now, it's difficult for some people. Other people make it in every single draft with us that we do on the live stream. Shout out Vinny. So, but anyway, hopefully that helps somewhat. But P-Boto says, if it's not too personal, it's all good. Curious why you're thinking retirement from YouTube in a couple of years. Seem to build. I'm mainly joking about that. I'm mainly joking. I will say, and obviously, boo-hoo, I understand. I'm the luckiest person on the planet. This is a literal dream. It's my favorite part of the day that I get to come out and live stream, and especially these fantasy football drafts. I love streaming the underdog drafts. Streaming the live Q&As during the season's a little bit tougher, just mentally and on my voice. But be completely honest with you, I'll be as personal with y'all as possibly want. I have 0 life outside of this. And when I say I have 0 life, I have 0 life. If I'm not recording, if I'm not streaming, if I'm not doing research, I'm in a call with the developers from like July to December. I mean, last year I streamed for 200 days in a row. If I'm live streaming that day, especially making multiple videos a day, I can't leave this office. So when like I said, whenever I say, oh, I'm going to retire from YouTube, I am primarily joking, but it would be nice to have a little bit of a normal person life and like be able to go to UT games and stuff, you know. But we for sure need another wide receiver here. We're still playing catch up at the position, especially when 2 of our top guys are rookies. So we are going to go ahead. We will take Cortland Sutton here at 104. And when I say quote unquote retire, I probably won't actually retire. It'll probably just be, oh, instead of me putting out 2 videos every single day during the season and live streaming every single night for 200 days in a row, maybe I do 1 video a day and 1 live stream Sunday morning or 1 live stream Saturday night. And obviously I'm way too young to be, I'm not gonna be able to plan this out. I don't know how it's going to break, but I'd imagine, say if hypothetically I had a kid like 3-4 years from now, if I have a kid 4 years from now, I'm probably not gonna be able to live stream every night. You know, of course I don't have a kid now, so I don't know, but I'm assuming. But yeah, I don't know how many years I have left in me of live streaming every single night. I'm already going bald. The hairline is already receding faster than freaking Devon Achane in the open field. And I think it's probably from live streaming every night, or at least that's what I'm telling myself. Okay. But now that we're coming back up on the clock here, we are not taking quarterback when we have Richardson Burrow. We are pretty much locked into running back, wide receiver, or tight ends. The Cortland Sutton pick at 104 really does help us a lot here in terms of giving us flexibility with what we're able to do. Okay. Tyler Lockett off the board. I think we're going to go ahead and take Tajay Spears here as our RB3. Yes, we go running back out the gate. But, I mean, I think by the time we get to round 10, we've kind of solved some of these other positions where we're able to pivot over. And, oh, my gosh, I am now red on this camera. What is going on here? This is red alert. Tajay Spears pick incoming. Is this going to fix it? Okay, we back to my natural grayish color. Here we go. We back. But anyway, let's see if we have any other questions that we possibly missed. Silent Fist Gaming says, rate my underdog puppy draft. Quarterback, we have Caleb, Bryce, Daniel Jones. I do think that, and by the way, if you don't know, the puppy draft on Underdog, that's the $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool, $200,000 for first. Drafting for the highest ceiling possible, but it is definitely the tournament I would recommend to you if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, especially if you deposit $10, they add 5 into your account. You can do 3 puppy drafts and have some fun practice for your main one. So this is what I'd recommend. If you're new to Underdog, go ahead and get in the puppy. But anyway, Caleb, Bryce, Daniels, I think it makes sense to take 3 quarterbacks. Those are your 3 guys. Running back, we go Brees Gibbs. So going with a little bit of a unique combo, but very similar to us, going running back in the first 2 rounds. We wait to take Tony Pollard as our 3rd guy. Funny, I take Spears as my 3rd guy here. Ty Chandler, Vidal. I agree. We take 5 running backs. Great structure. Wide receiver, we play catch up with Flowers, Keenan, Rome, Jamison, Wicks, Judy, Sticky Ricky. Tight end, we have Laporta, Kmet, Higbee. You can't take 3 tight ends when you take Sam Laporta there, and we're so behind at wide receiver. You're just not going to have enough wide receiver production on this team. You know I love Sam Laporta, and Sam Laporta is one of my most drafted guys in these underdog drafts at the moment. But you can't go Sam Laporta when you go running back in the first 2 rounds, or you just won't have enough wide receiver production to be competitive, which is what I think happened there, to be honest with you. And if you do go Sam Laporta, you for sure need to take the extra wide receiver, and you can't take someone like Higbee. Now, Gray says, 12-team PPR redraft league. I have the 7. I'm looking to go running back. Round 2, would you suggest Achane or Etienne or someone else in mind? I would go Achane over Etienne, my friend. But if it's on ESPN, you could possibly get Achane in round 3. Relajacion says, Dynasty 1 quarterback. We have the 101, 108, 201, 301. So the 1 QB Dynasty rookie draft, we're going to go Harrison at pick 1. By the time you get to 8, we're going to assume that Harrison, Neighbors, Rome, Bowers are all gone. Then you're going to be looking at the tier of like Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Jonathan Brooks. You're going to be looking at one of those guys. And then hopefully you can have one of those guys making it to the 201 as well. The only quarterbacks I'd consider at the 201, though, would be Caleb or Daniels if they were to make it in a 1 quarterback league. Okay. Now, AD Mitchell goes 125. A little frustrating for us. AD Mitchell has been a little bit of a riser at this point, but when we have Anthony Richardson, it would be nice to get the Anthony Richardson, AD Mitchell stack. So instead, I think we're going to have to look at Josh Downs a little bit later here. But now that we're on the clock, as we mentioned previously, it does seem that Gus Edwards is just falling in every single one of these drafts at the moment. So I think instead we actually go ahead and we take Blake Corum at pick 128 as our 4th RB, which I don't know. I'm fine with the Blake Corum price. I'm fine with the Kyron Williams price. Like I said, y'all know my favorite start on Underdog at the moment is wide receiver Kyron Williams. But Maddox says 12-team full PBR, double wide receiver, single flex. We have Burrow, Pacheco, Connor, Jamar, London, Kmet, Pickens. And then on the bench, we have Rome, Rice, Moss, Daniels. Drafted to the 6th spot. How did we do? I think it's a bench that has a ton of upside. I'd actually say Rice probably starts over Pickens. And once we get one of these rookies breaking out, if like Rome breaks out, I would love to see early in the year in a full PPR format where we'd expect Benson to come on later in the season to potentially throw James Conner on the trade block, package him in a 2-for-1 deal with George Pickens and see if we can get an upgrade in the starting lineup there. Yeah, great team. Muhammad, I'm sorry if I can't pronounce this. I'm an idiot. You already know that. But anyway, what teams have a bad starting schedule at running back, wide receiver? New England seems to have a tough start with Cleveland. Is it good? So I don't necessarily focus in too much on like how I perceive strength of schedule early in the season. What I think is maybe a little bit more useful and a little more accurate is to look at implied team totals from sportsbooks. So if I go ahead and look at some teams that have the lowest implied team totals according to sportsbooks, which an implied team total is how many points that a sportsbook with the combination of the over-under of the game and the spread of the game, they are projecting that offense to score. So at the beginning of the year, here, let me swing this around real quick. Gus Edwards continues to fall like a freaking rock. We'll take Gus Edwards here at 137. It is definitely scary, and when we do take Gus Edwards at this point, we are done drafting running back. But the teams that are supposed to have the worst week 1 performances, New England has an implied team total of 17 points. Carolina has an implied team total of about 17.5. The Jets are pretty low in comparison to their rest of season because they have to go up against the Niners. Washington's only at 19 points. Denver's only at 19 points. Tennessee's only at 19.5. So those are the offenses that at least week 1 are supposed to be in a tough spot. But Card says, thank you for all the info. I'll be using code FLOCK on Underdog for all the guides and rankings. Hell yes, my guy. And please, if you have any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And yeah, like I said, I would recommend the draft guide's over 200 pages. So you're not going to be able to take the draft guide to your draft. Unless you have it on your computer, then you can Control F and search an individual player profile before you select him if you are interested in that. But if you're going to like a physical draft, what I would recommend doing is printing out that ADP consensus cheat sheet. And then every time that somebody is drafted, crossing them off the list physically. Okay. But I have no idea how many likes we're at. I have no idea how many people are watching this. But if we had 600 likes on this live stream, we are going to fire up another draft after this one. So, 1, if we've already hit 600 likes, stick around for the next draft. 2, if we have not, hit that like button. Jacob says, new to Dynasty, my 1 quarterback PPR team. We have St. Brown, Olave, Etienne, Hurts. Phenomenal to grab Hurts in the 4th. Higgins in the 5th. Brian Thomas in the 6th. Mixon. Oh, no, never mind. That's not in order. But anyway, Mixon, Spears, Hawkinson, Marshawn Lloyd, Eckler, Judy, Lawrence, Benson Knott. 26 rounds. I really like this. If you look at the wide receivers that we go with, we get a lot of these guys, which I deem cornerstone assets in Dynasty. My definition of a cornerstone asset in Dynasty is somebody that you can build around for a contending team to contend with this season, and also somebody that you should have a long roadway of production with in the future. So someone like St. Brown, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, Brian Thomas, these are guys that are going to help you win this year, and going into the future, they should be, really strong options. Okay, now Ray Davis, Jaleel, Chuba Hubbard all go. So let's move this over. So we are done at quarterback. We are done at running back. We are exclusively wide receiver, tight end from here on out. Dotson, Cole Kmet have both been massive fallers in drafts as of late. Kmet, the usage looks really concerning between him and Gerald Everett. Jahan Dotson, this Washington coaching staff will not say that he's the wide receiver 2. For whatever reason, they don't want to say it. So let's see what happens. Luke Musgrave off the board at 149. Now, a big-time riser has been Michael Wilson here. So, to be completely honest with you, my favorite wide receiver option in this range is actually Xavier Legette. However, and this may be dumb, and I'm fully acknowledging that this is probably very dumb. When we already have Xavier Worthy and Keon Coleman and Blake Corum, and when we're already sitting here with 3 rookies, I don't necessarily know how many rookies we can continue to add to this squad, where the rookie profile, of course, is one that the player may not be great at the beginning of the season, but you'd hope near the end of the year they do have a decent breakout, which we're already kind of banking on that with Worthy or Keon. So I think you could potentially make an argument. Mason, who cares about your personal rankings? You're an idiot. You're wrong all the time. Go Michael Wilson. Maybe he makes more sense for the roster. But I'm going to take Xavier Legette. I don't know. I think he can potentially be the wide receiver 1 in Carolina. Obviously, I'm ranking Deontay Johnson higher than him, but I think he does have that upside. You're getting him after Demario Douglas, and he is a wide receiver that just went round 1 of the NFL draft. Now, Master Y says, 3 wide receiver happy BR tight end premium. We have Richardson, Gibbs, Kyron Waddle, Dell, Ladd, McBride, Deontay. Jaden Daniels, Eric Gray, Jaleel, Braylon Allen, Benson, Spears, Palmer. How? How many teams are in this league? Nutso team, if it is a tight end premium format, where typically I'd say Trey McBride, if he is your tight end 1, you're not going to have to roster 2 of those guys. If it's tight end premium where one could viably actually get into the flex spot for you, I wouldn't mind if you really wanted to go through and roster a backup tight end and see if you had the upside there. Okay. Now, Rodgers off the board to pick 156. Good for us to see these quarterbacks go. Komet does go shortly after we passed on him. So we are still wide receiver tight end from here on out. We could go ahead and take Adam Thielen and make one concentrated bet that maybe the Carolina Panthers are a better offense than people expect. Maybe the Deontay Johnson acquisition. Maybe Deontay goes down. I don't know. Stafford 158. Let's see. Michael Wilson was also somebody that we did consider in the 13th. We need tight ends. It's crazy to see like Hunter Henry, tight end 18, going next to Adam Thielen, wide receiver 71. I don't know what to do here between those 3 guys. I don't really think anybody else is in play unless I'm missing something, which I don't think I am. Okay. What's going to happen here? Michael Wilson goes. So I think we are going to take Adam Thielen, as we mentioned previously, pair him up with Xavier Legette. I think we have kind of played catch-up at wide receiver in a decent way with this team. So running back, we start out the gate with Bijan and Taylor. Very scary spot. Typically, we're not wanting to go running back specifically in these underdog drafts. In your regular redraft league, go for it. But here it's a little tougher. But after we go with those 2 guys, we followed up with middle round wide receivers with DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Xavier Worthy. Go Anthony Richardson at 65, Keon Coleman at pick 80, Burrow at 89 to pair up with Higgins, Sutton at 104, running back Spears, Corum, Edwards, and then Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen directly after. So we have to take 3 tight ends in this draft, and we'll probably take those guys relatively soon. But Dalton says, what's up, brother? Glad to be back for year 2. Hell yes, my guy. Just finished my first draft of the year. What are your thoughts? We have Chase, Achane, Josh Allen, Higgins, Kupp, White, Chubb, Schultz, Komet, Hubbard, Algier. So I love that at the end of the draft, we're going with guys like Hubbard, Algier for the upside running back pieces. If we waited to take Schultz as our first tight end, I agree that we probably want to take 2. I would like the Chubb pick if we're able to move him to the IR and pick up another running back off of waivers. But yeah, we have the elite quarterback. I would be interested to see where you selected Chase at. I think it would have probably been a little bit better if you had the ability to go with Breece or Bijan over Chase. Because it seems like that was a league that wide receiver values were really strong in the middle rounds. Even through 1 says, on a scale 1 through 10, how dumb would it be to take Tyreek at the 101 in a single flex league? It's not dumb. I think Tyreek has a much higher floor than CMC. But Christian McCaffrey scored 100 more points than the running back 2 next year. You know, so it's hard to pass on that. Amit says, appreciate my guy. Say I have Allen now. 4th, are we going to go wide receiver, running back? Obviously, been on the board, but Kincaid in the 5th, or do you say go wide receiver there? Kincaid in the 5th is a no-brainer. In terms of us staying flexible in the 4th, I think it really is dependent on your league in particular. Like, I would plan on, I mean, if you get like Devonta Smith there at the end of the 4th, that's a pick that I'm making quite often in your regular redraft leagues. But it's tough, but Grigor asking if we can take a look at his team at 9. He was in this draft with us at pick 9. He goes A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Hurts, Travis Kelce. I love the first 4 rounds. The Dalton Kincaid pick at 57 is very scary, but I do think that it has upside and is pretty unique. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll take Noah Fant as our first tight end. But anyway, after that, we have Christian Watson, Jamison. So catching up at wide receiver. Obviously, when we only have A.J. Brown there, you have to play the catch-up game. Swift, Moss. Yeah, this is where you get really screwed. Because we were both in the same boat, right? I mean, I was in a situation where after the first few rounds, I was playing catch-up at wide receiver. You were playing catch-up at wide receiver as well. So the board just worked itself out where I think, like, if Sutton would have made it to you at 105, I think this team would have crushed. The issue is I really needed a wide receiver as well, so I go Sutton there. I think you're probably just a little light on receiver here. You're really going to need one of these late round guys to hit, and I probably dropped a bunch of receivers on that team. Now, Adrian says 12-team PBR double flex. I have the 103. What's the strategy for the first 5 rounds? So full PBR double flex league, I think you stay very balanced. If you have the 103, then you go Lamb or Tyreek, whoever falls. And it's a full PBR double flex league. You don't have to go with an elite quarterback at the 2-3 turn if you don't want to. And instead, I think you can stay balanced and go, oh, okay, well, if we end up getting a falling value, or if Lamar makes it to us at the end of the 4th, then I will go ahead and take him. But you could go with, say, like Kyron and Achane at the 2-3 turn if they both make it to you, and then just slam wide receiver values in the middle rounds because you can start 4 wide receivers from week to week perspective in a full PPR format. I think it makes a ton of sense. Okay. Now, I love the Wan'Dale price point here. Pensionat, we have 5 rookies already on this team. I think we're just kind of wanting production in here. We'll go ahead. We'll take Jawan Johnson at 185. I don't know. I know we need a tight end. I don't know what we're going to do with our last roster spot. We're definitely not going to go running back. Not either be a third quarterback or potentially. We're not going to go with the third quarterback here. We should have gone Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm stupid. That's on me. Rip City Champ says, how much higher would you push up the quarterbacks in a league with 6 points per passing touchdown and 1 point per 10 yards passing? If a passing yard is equal to the same amount of points as a rushing and receiving yard for you, quarterbacks go in round 1. Josh Allen goes in round 1. Mahomes goes in round 1. Or at least, if you don't think your elite mates will take him there, then sure, just grab the elite level quarterback in round 2. But what I'm more confident in saying, because I don't know how your elite mates are going to react, I can't tell you exactly where to take those guys. But I'm very confident if you're in a league where you get 6 points per passing touchdown and a passing yard is equivalent to a rushing yard from a points perspective, the rushing quarterbacks aren't nearly as valuable. Like in a league like that, Tua may outscore Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts aren't guys that are must-select players. Because the reason you want them in a regular league is a rushing yard or rushing touchdowns worth significantly more than a passing. But here you want the guys that potentially lead the NFL in passing yards instead. Mr. Lamjan says, I picked 3rd overall on a 12-team Superflex Happy BR format. This is the start of the Dynasty draft. Who would you choose, Hurts, Jackson, or Stroud? If it is a Dynasty league, I'm going to go Stroud. I think Hurts and Lamar are better options for this season based off scoring. But God, I'm so dumb for not taking Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm so dumb for that. God, why did I not take Wan'Dale? We're going to take a wide receiver that didn't get drafted in a lot of Best Ball Mania drafts that could potentially be the wide receiver 3 for Joe Burrow. I'm really dumb, though. I should have taken Wan'Dale Robinson. It is what it is. And we're just going to queue up tight end here at the end of the draft. And then we are going to bounce to another draft at this point. Okay. So we're going to get in another Best Ball Mania draft on Underdog. On my phone, I'm still in the big dog $500 buy-in, but it looks like there's no way that's going to fill. So we're going to get in here, and it is filled, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Are you freaking kidding me? We are pick 12. Pick 12 sucks. You're going to see me struggle. You're going to watch me squirm. You're You're going to possibly see some tears, but we'll figure it out. Now, as Lukey says, who should be my keeper in a 10-team PPR league? Between Jones, Kyron, Adams, Hawkinson. I'd definitely go Kyron, my friend. The number one Edgehead says, PBR Superflex, got to keep 4 of these guys. Who would you keep? Herbert, Goff, Adams, Kupp, DJ Moore, Waddle. Superflex, I'm going to go Herbert, Goff, Waddle, Adams. But I think we throw Kupp away, essentially, because, I mean, if it is a keeper league, we know we probably don't want to keep Kupp next year, and I'd rather have Adams over Kupp this year. Chris says, happy BR Dynasty trade, JSN and Javonte for Jonathan Brooks. If you're rebuilding, I understand the appeal in getting Brooks, but the other side's going to help you way more contend this year. 26 Goodman says, who would you rather have as keeper, Stroud in the 16th or Achane in the 9th? In a one-quarterback league, give me the 9th. Give me Achane in the 9th. The gap between a 9th round pick and a 16th round pick really isn't massive. Like, it's a much smaller gap than the gap between a round 1 pick and a round 2 pick if you're just looking at the expected value of those selections. So, yeah, I would just keep the guy that we would prefer. And I think in a one-quarterback format, I would prefer Achane over Stroud. But Tommy says, got offered ETN for Harrison and a 10-team half PPR, 2 wide receivers starting. We have White, Connor, Najee, Chubb, Chase Brown. Wide receiver, we have Hill, Harrison, Higgins, Addison, and Pickens. I'd probably rather have Harrison. I know, obviously, in that format, wide receivers are going to be devalued just a bit, but going from Harrison to ETN does feel like a little bit too much of a downgrade. Now, that guy says 10-team single flex half PPR. We have Kyler Brees, ETN, Smith, Kupp, McBride, London. What do you think projected last on ESPN? One, do not care about the projections in the slightest. Great running backs, wide receiver with value. We have Kyler McBride. I think it's a phenomenal team. And this is one thing, even y'all know, I will say that I think probably the best drafters are drafting on Underdog. We're going to take Puka and JT. But I do think the best drafters are drafting on Underdog, and those resources are so valuable, especially that practice is so valuable. But even at the end of Underdog drafts, the projection that they give you, I do not care at all. Let alone the projection that you get at the end of your ESPN draft. It's pretty much useless. The sites have no incentive to make the projections really good. So, yeah, don't overthink it and go, oh my gosh, ESPN projected me to be the best team. The rest of my league mates suck. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Mr. Picklefoot Fader says, I'm at pick 12. Mason, what are your thoughts? I am very sorry. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone, my friend. Okay. Dear gosh. I am so sorry. I lost that, and there's no way I can find it. I'm very sorry, my friend. But I do appreciate you hanging out with us every single night on the stream and getting in a draft with us now. But King Matt says, hey, Mason, what would be the recommended strategy for the 5 spot in a 10-team half PPR league? If you get Brees or if you get Brees or Bijan making it to you, go ahead, take him at pick 5 and a half PPR 10-team league. And then afterwards, I'd stay flexible. If you can get an elite quarterback in round 3, I probably would. Jacob says, is it crazy for me to take Saquon over Gibbs? If you're worried about the Gibbs hamstring, I don't think it's crazy. I just think that Gibbs playing behind the best offensive line in the NFL. He was somebody that goes to the very top of the NFL draft. He's going to get every single target out of the backfield. He's going to have upside for red zone work as well. So I'm taking Gibbs. If it's like a half PPR format, I think you can go Barkley. And obviously, if you don't know, all these drafts on Underdog are half PPR leagues. So definitely make that adjustment. If you're in a full PPR league, the guy that's going to get the target volume will be a little bit more valuable. But of course, if you want to get in one of these half PPR drafts with us on Underdog, you find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. We are drafting nonstop every single night. As you can tell, this is our 3rd draft of the night. Maybe we end up getting a 4th in here. But Underdog actually is dropping a flock tournament every Monday and Thursday till the season starts as well. And if you want to draft in one of those with us, or if you want to draft just in any tournament with us, we're doing it every single night. They're best balls, so there's no time committed all during the season. So we draft hundreds of teams every year. It's high 150,000 2 years ago on Underdog. And if you signed up to Underdog with code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2024 rankings, 2024 draft guide, 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, plus you will get a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. You just need to be in one of these states if you want to draft on Underdog. You can see the map there. Now, Bears fan coming out says 12-team PPR. We have Kyler, Kirk, St. Brown, DK Evans, Judy, Palmer, Dotson, Kyron, Montgomery, Brian Robinson, Algier Chandler. Should I trade Kyron in someone for Bijan or Jonathan Taylor? I would love to here. I think we have enough production overall where if you could package together like DK and Kyron and go get Bijan Robinson, let's go for it. Now, I'm not going to go down to the JT tier. We need Bijan or we need Brees. But Bummy coming out says, my bench is Godwin, Deontay, Benson, Singletary, Ford, Chase Brown, Kmet. Looking to replace Kmet. Is it likely to find upside receivers, or should we just add a running back? Whoever you add, just understand that they're going to be at the very bottom end of our roster. So what we need to be thinking about is we need to be thinking about players that will give us clarity on their situation week 1. So don't go through and add someone like Jermaine Burton, Malachi Corley, that they're a late season play anyway, because you're going to just end up wanting to cut them after the first week anyway. Max Tong says, thoughts on running back wide receiver stacks like Gibbs, St. Brown, Waddle, Achane. I think almost similar to what we were talking about with the quarterback pairings. If you're in a small field tournament and you want to make a bet that maybe this offense just scores more touchdowns than people are expecting, I don't think it's a horrible thing to pair up the running back and wide receiver together. If you're in a large field tournament like Best Ball Mania, it's maybe not ideal. I think it kind of depends on where you're drafting. But let's see what happens here at 36-37 for us. So we know for sure we need to at least go with one wide receiver. I think we are going to go ahead and take Michael Pittman Jr. here at pick 36. After Pittman, I think we have a couple different options. The team at 6 went Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. The team at 1 went 3 running backs straight. So I think we may mix things up. I think we may go Pacheco here at 34. Because it seems like a couple teams in this draft are going to be pushing up running backs. So let's see. Now, Milan says, full PPR rank these guys: London, Debo, Olave, Nico, Kupp, Ayuk. This is the toughest tier of guys to rank in fantasy football drafts. From last to first, Kupp would be last on my list here. After Kupp, we would have Ayuk. After Ayuk, we would have Olave. After Olave, we would have Debo. After Debo, we would have Nico. And then actually, I'd probably go Nico over London. So then we go London, then Nico, I think is the best option. Ian says 10 team, but the reality of it is they're all in the same tier. If one of those guys goes in round 2 of your draft and get the other around 4, for the love of God, just take the cheaper player. I'm guessing when we're making that order. Ian says 10-team PPR league, drafting 6th, and it's 1 quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a flex. What's the best strategy? Getting Bijan, then going for receivers, or going wide receiver first. So it's a full PPR league where we can start up to 4 wide receivers. If Bijan makes to you at 6, I think you go Bijan and then slam wide receiver after. Now, if Bijan and Breece Hall are already off the board and at pick 6, you're considering Zamir Gibbs, for the love of God, don't go running back. Just take the wide receiver at that point. But yeah, I think if you can go Bijan as your anchor RB and then slam wide receivers after in that format, makes sense. Dalton says, draft was in order, but forgot to add DJ Moore round 4, Schultz round 9. It's a 6-point passing touchdown format. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find that again. Okay. Let's see. So Higgins in round 5 and Kupp in round 6 in that case. I'm assuming that has to be a 10-team league. There's no way you got those wide receiver values in 12-team format. That's awesome, though. Andrew says Hill, Chase, or Jefferson in order. In that exact order, my guy. Hill, Chase, then Jefferson. Josh says, Submason, I'm drafting soon for a league with 6 points per passing touchdown, double flex spots. Thoughts on strategy and overall ideas. If it's a full PPR format, double flex league, I think this is a style league where you don't have to be going running back early. If you have wide receivers making it to you that you like, I think you can pull the trigger on them. But yeah, whenever I say like, oh, this is how you exploit a league where you want to start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, that league is exploitable. That's a league where there's a very clear strategy that you just know what to do to kind of just hack the league settings. And a league where you have 2 flexes, it's a little bit tougher. Now, yeah, that team at 6 decides to go David Montgomery at 54. You have Burrow off at 55. This is a nutso draft. This is a crazy draft here. Dalton, if that's in a 12-team league, that's nuts. I have no idea what your league mates were doing. Tresner says, Bo Nix, first 5 drives, 2 touchdowns, and 2 field goals. Yeah, Bo Nix, I mean, that entire offense looked really good. Blake says, full BBR, Jefferson, Achane, or Marv and Gibbs. I'd rather have Jefferson, Achane. Okay, we're about to be back up on the clock. Looks like we are all in on this Indianapolis Colts offense. So I think we are going to take Anthony Richardson here at pick 60. After Anthony Richardson, I think you can make an argument for a couple different guys. We're going to reach on George Kittle. If you look at the way the ADPs have lined up all year, I do think it will be a somewhat unique combo to take Kittle here. So now wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman Jr. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco. Quarterback, we have Richardson. Tight end, we have Kittle. And obviously, this is a team that we are going all in on Indianapolis. Which maybe is good. Maybe it's bad. We'll see. Okay. Miggy says, is trading Kyron and McBride for Bijan smart in a full PPR format? The thing is, you also have to consider the guy that you're going to get off the waiver wire. Kind of depends on the overall depth of your league. If it's a 2 wide receiver, single flex, extremely shallow format, I think it is something that you can justify, but it really does matter your league format. Okay. But after we take Kittle here, we are going to be struggling for wide receiver help. Wide receiver is what we're going to be looking for. We're going to set up a prayer that somebody makes it to us. Is it likely that somebody does? Probably not. We'll see. Okay. Kamara goes 66. Bowers 67. Ooh. This is a fun draft. This is a fun draft. And this isn't, I don't want to say this isn't that crazy. Bowers at 67 is freaking nuts. For the love of God, don't be doing that. But we did see in the draft right before this, somebody take Brock Bowers at 73. So it looks like Bowers is a big-time riser. Now, of course, that guy at pick 6 is also freaking nuts. Godwin makes it down to pick 70. Keenan Allen makes it down to 69. Godwin was the guy that I was considering at 61. Let's move this over. And see what this team at 2 does. What running backs are available at this point? James Conner's the best running back available. This team at 2 is sitting with Lamb, Olave, Smith, Pickens, Christian Watson at wide receiver. Lamar, quarterback, no running backs so far. And if we hit 900 likes, we are going to fire up another draft after this. Essentially, the draft intervals are 300 likes a draft. If we hit 900 likes, we'll fire up another one. And it looks like as we get closer to the season, these streams may be turning into extremely long ones. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Okay. Aaron Jones goes 76. Good for us to see any non-wide receiver get drafted. Stroud 77. That's great. Come on. Zamir 78. Perfect for us. Let's freaking go. Any non-wide receivers getting drafted is good for us. Let's freaking go. DeAndre Swift 79. Let's go. Najee Harris 80. Let's go. We're at least going to get one guy. Now, is he good? I don't know. Depends on who we get. JSN off the board at 81. JSN was for sure somebody I would have been really excited about here. The question is, if Kyler makes it to us at 84, do we go Kyler for unique builds and then target someone like Michael Wilson a little bit later? Ladd McConkey goes 82. This team is Josh Allen, so you'd assume that they go Keon Coleman. If they go Keon Coleman, I'm probably taking Kyler. They go Stevenson. Really surprising on that front. Keon Coleman is a lock to be this pick here for us at 84 as our wide receiver 3. Looking at our other potential stacks later, we could go Brock Purdy. The thing is, Kyler Murray is just going to score so many more points. He has the rushing upside. Keon is for sure the pick at 84. I'm surprised that he made it this far. We'll go Kyler and grab Michael Wilson later on. Let's go. Let's just lock in a ridiculous amount of quarterback points here. Okay. Now, the Keon Coleman pick, as it's probably clear based off what we did. The Keon Coleman pick is an absolute no-brainer. I stand by that 100%. I don't think we could have gone anywhere else. Kyler Murray selection, on the other hand, that could be one that I'm looking back 3 rounds from now going, what the hell was I thinking? That made literally 0 sense. But, I mean, if we had a great wide receiver there, I definitely think we could take him. I've already drafted so much Jordan Addison this year that it's going to be very difficult to keep taking Addison unless he falls past ADP for me. Can't keep reaching on Addison. I have 20% Jordan Addison. A Jameson Williams, I think, is decent with the spike week upside, but I don't think he's like a special player. I think Kyler Murray just scores so many freaking points at the end of the day. And I do want to reiterate, you would never take a second quarterback here in your regular redraft league. This is just a best ball thing. Okay. Now, Addison does go off the board at 89. Let's see what this team at 6 does. This team at 6 has been the wild card, where they take Jordan Love at 91. Phenomenal for us to see them go with the quarterback once we take Kyler and we're done at QB. I mean, I would almost think that that's a bot team that I have drafting. Evan Ingram goes 92. Evan Ingram, massive faller in this draft. I'll pull up my exposures. I have noticed Evan Ingram falling in comparison to where he was going earlier this offseason. Ingram had been somebody that I just hadn't been drafting a lot because I preferred other players in his range. But currently with the Jaguars, I have 11% Brian Thomas, 10% Gabe Davis, 8% Tank Bigsby, 7% Travis Etienne, 6% Evan Ingram, 5% Trevor Lawrence, and 3% Christian Kirk. So the fallers that you've seen as of late in Jacksonville are Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk. So Feels good to have avoided those guys up until this point. But TC coming out says, hey, Mason, Dynasty League here, 2 keepers with attacks in the round that they were taken. Between CMC in round 5, CMC in round 1, Brees in round 5, Kyler in the 14th, Superflex League as well. I was going to say Brees in round 5 relatively easily, but in a Superflex format, I think Kyler in the 14th is definitely interesting. I think we probably still go Brees in round 5. Think about keeping CMC in rounds 1. Is it depending on where you're drafting? Potentially draft CMC there. There's no way in hell you're getting Brees Hall in round 5. Mr. Filthy Wub says Brees is more expensive because of the CMC injury in these drafts. I haven't noticed Brees rising up boards. I mean, I guess actually here, Brees went at pick 3. Dear God, I didn't even notice that. But I just drafted. Y'all know I've been on the Brees Hall over Bijan Robinson train all offseason. That was a very rare take early in the year. It's a very common one now. I have Brees Hall in 12% of my drafts. I have Bijan Robinson in 6% of my drafts. So I have exactly double the amount of drafts with Brees over Bijan. Back earlier in the offseason when Bijan went ahead of Brees in every one, the gap was a lot wider, but things have changed. Now let's move this over. The wild team ends up going Romeo Doubs, a wide receiver that we could have used, but it is what it is. I've taken a lot of Tyler Lockett here. I'm starting to get worried because it seems like he's been falling more and more and more. And I've been taking him a lot here at the beginning of the 10th round. So as I see Lockett begin to slip into like the 11th round, I feel like maybe this injury is something that I need to be a little more concerned with. Shakir off 107. Dave says, doesn't Bijan have a high ceiling for best ball? Though I think Bijan has an incredibly high ceiling. I just think so does Brees Hall. Okay. If we go David Njoku, we are done taking tight end. I'm for sure going to go David Njoku. The thing is, David Njoku last year, 160 points. That's as many points as Lockett. It's more points than Cooks. Almost as many points as Myers. Like David Njoku can outscore all the wide receivers here. It's tight end 11 versus a wide receiver 54. And then you know what? We're going to go Zach Moss, and we're going to set up a prayer that Keon Coleman is a stud. Very interesting team. Let's see how we can navigate the later rounds. AKA, we're going to pray to whatever God you pray to that we get wide receiver here past round 10. We are currently sitting with Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman Jr., Keon Coleman at wide receiver. No bueno. Running back, pretty good. We have Jonathan Taylor. We have Isaiah Pacheco. We have Zach Moss. Quarterback, we have Anthony Richardson. We have the full-blown Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr., Anthony Richardson onslaught. Tight end, we have Kittle, David Njoku. So pseudo-bully tight ends, pseudo-bully quarterback. We're definitely only taking 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends in this draft. You don't have to worry about me taking another of either position. But we'll see. We'll see. Vinny says, Mason, did you bench the Blue Blazer because he gave you a wrist injury and you got to stay in game shape? 100%, my guy. Like I said, after the Blue Blazer incident yesterday, you can see it here. See that happen here. I thought we were going to have to amputate it. It's tough, rubbing against my skin. But we're surviving. We're surviving. We're thriving. And we got a lot going on. Tomorrow, we have the Fantasy Stock Exchange guys, the Fantasy Land guys, the Fantasy Domain guys. All 3 of the developers of flockfantasy.com, my editor, all coming to Austin. We have a big Flock draft week happening, just in case you don't know. So I will be all over the place tomorrow, doing a bunch of different things. Excited? I don't even want to say I'm that nervous. I'm not that nervous. Really excited, though. But Owen says, thoughts on a 10-team PPR where we have Allen, Etienne, Connor, Amon-Ra, Puka, McBride, Debo, Ladd, Rome, Benson, Brian Robinson, JSN, Polk, Dobbins. So we have the elite quarterback, top end tight end, great wide receiver production in a full PPR format. Enough running back depth as well. I think it's a great team. Honestly, I can't even think of anything to say like in terms of changing the bench construction around. For that format, I think it's a great spot. Okay. Austin says, Kyler's my only quarterback. 2 at the waiver wire. I'm 3rd on the waiver order. Should I put in a claim to save my position or hope he goes unclaimed? Kyler's like right on the borderline where if I have Kyler, I'm fine rostering 2 QBs. Kind of depends on how many teams are in your league and also who you would drop. Don't feel like you have to super chat this, my guy, but let me know who would you drop if you pick up Tua. Tua in this draft goes 124. Pat Frymuth 125. Good for us to see as many quarterbacks and tight ends get drafted as possible. Let's see. We are just running back wide receiver with a strong emphasis at receiver. Stanley Caps, thank you for the donation, my friend. And yes, we had 900 likes in the stream, so we are going to be getting another draft going after this one. So definitely stick around for the next draft. And we'll do a $100 draft after this. We'll do a $100 draft after this one. Okay. Austin says you drop Taysom Hill. Yeah, I'd go ahead and put in the claim then. Jared Goff off 128. Now, the question is, if A.D. Mitchell makes it to us, do we take him and go, what if, and I mean, what if Anthony Richardson turns out to be the next Josh Allen and the Colts absolutely crush, which I'm not expecting, but also I'm not expecting to turn $25 into $1.5 million. So who knows? We're shooting for the ceiling here. Now, honestly, my favorite value is Austin Eckler. But I don't know if we can go with him. Brandon Cooks goes. We have 1 rookie receiver. I think we can go Jalen Polk. And then we go Polk and Mike Williams. Let's go Jalen Polk and Mike Williams here. Have to go wide receiver. And if some people go, go for the week 17 bring back with Keon Coleman, Mike Williams. But more so roster construction wise, I think these are guys that could potentially give us some spike weeks. So we'll see. But Nathan, I'll see if we missed anything. 12-team, 2 wide receiver, single flex league. We have Allen, Kyron, Javonte, Jefferson, Waddle, Kincaid. So we have Allen stacked with Kincaid. We have depth wide receivers with Rice, Reed, Rome. We have high upside running backs with Chase Brown, Rico. I think you're just rostering too many wide receivers. Like looking at Wicks and Jalen Polk down there, if it's a 2 wide receiver single flex league, we're with this strong at wide receiver, I would love to see if we could just move on from Jalen Polk and pick up another running back off the waiver wire. But I think it's a great team. Okay. And I'm not saying the Colts are going to be bad. I'm just saying, like, if we were to draft A.D. Mitchell, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., and Anthony Richardson, we need the Colts to be a top 3 scoring offense in the NFL for that to really give us the upside to turn $25 into $1.5 million. Okay. So I don't know. We just need wide receiver here. We just need receiver. Sportus says, can't turn 25 into $1 million, passing up on possible week breakers like Austin Eckler. True that, my guy. True that. When you got the big playability, when you got the top end speed of someone like Austin Eckler, it is dangerous to pass on him. Let me see. Let me know if y'all can y'all hear this? Let me know.
Like I say, it's all covered. I feel pretty good, but I'm on do.
You talked about the routes that you felt like critics said that you weren't able to do and that you were working on this offseason. How do you feel you've come along with that in training camp?
I feel like I'm hitting them on the spot. I mean, we still going to continue just to kind of sharpen them up a little bit more each and every.
Xavier Legette, how can you not draft the guy? Someone who talks like that. How can you not draft him? Okay. And if that was too quiet, I will never do that again. I don't know. I love listening to Legette talk. Scott says, teammate here. Thoughts on the Detroit, Chicago stacks and teams. Also, thank you for getting me started on Underdog a year ago. Made a lot of money, mainly on pickups. My guy, thank you for drafting with us. We'll be excited to check this out. So team at 8. St. Brown, phenomenal value. I like going Barkley here as well. DJ Moore, Laporta, having the St. Brown and Laporta combo will be unique. Ton of upside. Kirk hasn't fallen here to 56 many times in this draft. We go with Rome to set up the DJ Moore double stack. We have Najee as our running back too with the Jalen Warren injury. This is a great team. And the thing is too, we also don't reach really on Caleb and Jared Goff. I love that team. I like your team more than mine, my guy. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Adam Thielen off the board to pick 150. Jalen Tolbert goes 151. Cole Kmet off. So we are exclusively running back and receiver here, right? Michael Wilson goes to pick 135. So sadly, we're not able to get him here at the 13-14 turn. It is what it is. It is what it is. Jahan Dotson off 153. As we discussed a bunch in this live stream, he has been a big-time follower. Foggy coming out says, my league has a 4-point bonus for a 50-yard touchdown. Do I push up field stretchers in an 8-team league? I wouldn't necessarily push up field stretchers, but maybe you push down the guys that you know have no chance of hitting 50-yard touchdowns. Like maybe Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler there are just undraftable. It's like difficult to project. It's much easier to know who's not capable of scoring the 50-yard plus touchdowns rather than trying to figure out who is going to. Okay. We're about to be back up on the clock. Douglas goes. So then we take Jaleel with the encouraging usage that we saw in this preseason game. Beyond that, Sticky Ricky has been a faller, as it looks like it's a little less likely that Ayuk gets dealt. But we have Kittle, so maybe we take Sticky Ricky and Kittle and say, oh, what if Ayuk is dealt? Or, oh, what if Debo gets injured? And they both hit. We'll see. Okay. But anyway, wide receiver now, we have Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman Jr., Keon Coleman, Jalen Polk, Mike Williams, Sticky Ricky. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco, Zach Moss, Jaleel McLaughlin. Quarterback, we have Anthony Richardson with the Indy onslaught of Michael Pittman Jr. and Jonathan Taylor. And we have an unstacked Kyler Murray because we got sniped on Michael Wilson. But we can go with the Cardinals' third receiver in the last round. But Johnny says, I'm in a full PPR and full point per carry. Here are your top 5 quarterbacks in this format. When you go after one of these, and when would you go after one of them? First off, if it is a full point per carry format, my friend, you will never start a running back. I'm sorry, you will never start a wide receiver in the flex spot. Never. Or at least you should never. Running back's going to make a ridiculous percentage of your starting lineup output. In a full point per carry league, Najee Harris will probably outscore Justin Jefferson. Now, I've played in point per carry formats before, but every point per carry format I played is a quarter point per carry, which still, you want running backs everywhere, but it's not that crazy. And my top 5 quarterbacks in a full point per carry league. QB1, still probably Josh Allen. He'll have a ton of carries. QB2, still probably Jalen Hurts. QB3, Lamar Jackson. QB4, probably Anthony Richardson, which is crazy. But yeah, I would prefer Anthony Richardson over Patrick Mahomes in a full point per carry league. So Anthony Richardson has 100 rush attempts. Not even to mention the rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Just the attempts give you the equivalent of an additional 2,500 passing yards. And then after, I don't know. It's either Kyler, Mahomes, Jaden Daniels. Like, it just, everything is so skewed in the point per carry format. Where if quarterback's getting a full point per carry, it's just a completely different league. Okay. Now, Daniel says 10-team PPR. We have Allen at quarterback, running back CMC, Najee, Brian Robinson, Singletary, Gus Edwards. Wide receiver, Marvin, Pittman, Waddle, Higgins, Ladd. Tight end, we have McBride and Freiermuth. I think it's a good team. I mean, if we're looking at it, I would probably rather roster another high upside wide receiver down there on the bench rather than Freiermuth when we already have McBride. But it seems like a very well-balanced team that has a lot of upside. Johnny says, sorry, it's point per completion. Okay, point per completion is the exact opposite with the quarterbacks then. Thank God we read that. Because if it's a point per completion league, all those high volume rushers are all of a sudden way less exciting. The quarterbacks that get a massive bump in a point per completion league, obviously the guys that can potentially lead the NFL in passing, such as Mahomes, Josh Allen. The guys that are sneaky bumps will be Tua Tagovailoa and Jared Goff. I believe they are number 1 and number 2 in the NFL in passing yards last year. And you actually see a significant fall from the rushing quarterbacks such as Anthony Richardson, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson. Okay, so let's move this over. We are still pretty much exclusively running back receiver. Obviously, Stafford falling this far is kind of tempting. Please, someone take Stafford so I don't ruin this team. We have Puka, Stafford ADP 147. We'd be on the clock at 180. Maybe this is a team where Stafford gets injured, so most Stafford teams don't advance. Kyler carries us through the regular season. We get a massive Week 16 for Stafford, massive Week 17 with the Colts guys. Somebody save me from myself. Nobody's going to save me from myself. So we will take Khalil Herbert and Stafford. Probably don't recommend taking Stafford, but ADP 147, 181. We get the stack. Yes, we went quarterback at 60. Yes, we went quarterback at 85. It is what it is. Maybe this makes it a little bit of unique builds. But let me show off the rest of this team. Now we are essentially locked and loaded to take 2 wide receivers at the very end of this draft. I'm just going to queue these guys up. We will queue up Big Q, get in here. Malachi Corley. After this, kind of gets gross. I've been taking a decent amount of Roman Wilson in this range. We'll mix in possibly Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt has been slipping as of late. And then after that, can someone let me know, has something been happening with Elijah Moore? Please let me know in the live chat right now as I try to figure out some of these wide receivers we can potentially take shots on. Please let me know, is there a reason Elijah Moore now never gets drafted? Like, what's going on with the Cleveland wide receiver core? Troy Franklin looks like he's dust. You potentially go... The issue is I don't want too many of these rookie receivers. Because we already have Keon, we already have Polk, we already have Sticky Ricky. We kind of need some production at the beginning of the year. Okay, Tillman, good preseason. Elijah may be on the bubble. Okay, Tillman getting a lot of reps. Okay, thank you. James Thrash having a good camp. I mean, Thrash I don't buy into. Tillman was a 3rd-round pick, so... Love Star says they sat more with the top 4 players week 1 of the preseason. Did someone confirm? Instead of that, looking for options at receiver. Josh Reynolds, maybe we queue up Perry. Maybe we queue up Tim Patrick. But all I know is we have enough wide receivers queued that we'll at least get 2 of them here. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to fire up the big eliminator. This is the last time I'll be able to do this draft. $100 buy-in. There are 8 spots open. So if we can't fill this, I will leave and go back into a Best Ball Mania. But if you wanted, and like I said, if you're new to Underdog, for the love of God, do not go get in a $100 draft. Stick to the $5 drafts. But if you are an Underdog veteran, you've correctly identified that I'm a fish, and you want to come take $100 from me, here you are. 4 spots open in this draft. If we can't fill these last, now there are 3 spots. If we can't fill these last spots, I will probably leave. I'll, of course, let you know if I'm leaving. But, and not the live stream, just the draft, and we'd go get in a cheaper one. Okay. And I'm officially going to leave the big dog draft lobby because it looks like there's no shot for that to fill. Frank says, is Troy Franklin getting dropped? I doubt it. Maybe, but I doubt it. Waiting for 2 people. So it looks like this. Yeah, we're now waiting for 3. So we're going backwards. I'm going to leave this. We'll save this for another night. I'm out of the $100 draft. We're no longer in that. We will. What do we want to do? Do we want to just do a puppy 3? No, let's get another best ball mania. How many days are left until the NFL season? $25 buy-in here. Okay, J Mills says, traded my 208 and 608 for the 110. Did I win? Hell yes. Shooting for Brees Bijan and Garrett Wilson in a single flex league, and any advice in the middle rounds without pick 6. Maybe be a little less excited about the wide receivers they can come away with in the middle rounds, but the reality is the expected value gap that you're going to get with the round 6 pick doesn't equal what you can do from rising from the second to the first round. So I love the move. Joe Mama, always happy to see you. So yeah, if you want to get into an Underdog draft with me, my guy, you just essentially have to join the same time that I do. So like you see that I joined Best Ball Mania. Vinny, shout out Vinny. He's in here at pick 7. He's in every single draft with us. So he just joined same time that we do. Okay. 17, 18, 17 to 18 days. Okay. 17 to 18 days. Okay. Now, CMC off the board, CeeDee Lamb goes. Yeah, Sports Prod says, man, you just cannot get good picks tonight. Yeah, we're stuck at pick 10 here. It is what it is. We'll figure it out. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. There's a good little stretch where we were getting I don't know, like picks 4, 5, 6 nonstop. So I feel like we kind of deserve some of these bad picks now. Previously, I was going Puka Nacua before the injury here at pick 10. But now I think we'll pivot over and we will go Garrett Wilson instead. And let's see what makes it back. Puka Nacua goes at 11, which does suck. I mean, I would love to pair up Puka with Wilson. London goes, we'll get at least Gibbs and Wilson paired up. I mean, this is somewhat of a unique combo. Obviously, we're taking on some risk with the Jahmyr Gibbs injury, but this is a $25 buy-in, $1.5 million for first. So, I mean, our job is to kind of shoot for the stars, maybe get a little bit of a unique combo, take on some risk where we can. And after we go Gibbs, you see Kupp off the board at 16. Kupp rising like a rock. I've not drafted Kupp in like a month, pretty much. But yeah, Kupp used to go at the end of round 3 in these underdog drafts. Now he's been a second round pick for almost a month. And of course, in your regular redraft league, I would also highly recommend you don't take him here. I think in your regular redraft league, you should be able to get Kupp in rounds like 4 and 5 at the moment. But of course, if you wanted to get in one of these underdog drafts with us, as I've said it 1,000 times now, y'all know we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy, where I've drafted every single day for years. By far and away my favorite place to draft. It's best ball, so no time commitment during the year. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus. You will get my 2024 rankings, my 2024 draft guide. You will get a 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, all 3 of which will be updated every single week for you until the season starts. And on top of that, you are going to be getting a Christian McCaffrey special pick of more than less than half a total yard. But you do have to be in one of these states if you want to draft on Underdog. You can see the map here. But Nick says, hey, Mason, how many Best Ball Mania drafts have you done? I've done a lot. I think we have 18 left that we're able to do. So what? We've done 132. I maxed Best Ball Mania last year. I don't know if I maxed Best Ball Mania 2 years ago when we got 16th place. If I didn't max it, we probably came pretty close. But yeah, we definitely maxed Best Ball Mania last year. I don't want to say definitely, but we probably maxed Best Ball Mania last year. But we're for sure going to, the most teams you're allowed to draft is 150. And we'll for sure draft 150 this year. We'll take Stephon Diggs. I'm fine taking Diggs here at 34. It does give us the option to go with CJ Stroud a little bit later as well. Okay, Raphael says, Mason, favorite entrepreneurial books. So I am very cringy with this stuff. So I'm not big into like the entrepreneur books, blah, blah, blah. But obviously I did an Ironman. I'm signed up to do like a 50-mile ultra marathon in November. So I am super, super cringy with like motivational speakers. Not as bad as I used to be, but I used to listen to like motivational speakers every single day, like nonstop. But so I can't give you any entrepreneurial books. I have read the David Goggins Can't Hurt Me book. Like it's an audio book that I listen to as I swim training for Ironman. So I've literally listened to it 5 times over. Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. It is great. I know it's super cringy. But we're also going to take Josh Allen here at 39. But the best motivational speech that y'all need to look up, write this down right now. Get out a notes app. It is cringy. Listen to the whole thing. Look it up on YouTube. It's easy to find. Art Williams, Just Do It. A-R-T Williams, Just Do It. I listen to it before the Ironman. I listen to it before every marathon I do. If I need a really good workout lifting, I used to listen to it. But Art Williams, Just Do It. Highly recommend. But we're going to take Josh Allen here. Taking Allen is one, safe because he scored 390 points for 4 straight seasons. Vegas sportsbooks are currently projecting the Buffalo Bills to be a top 5 scoring offense in the NFL this season yet again. Now, I understand a lot of people are worried about no Diggs. I understand a lot of people are worried about no Gabe Davis. But if Vegas sportsbooks are saying that they're going to be a top 5 scoring offense, I'm one to typically believe them. And we could potentially get Keon Coleman a little later on. So I'm fine going ahead and taking him here. Okay. But I think my girlfriend potentially is at the door. It will take me literally 5 seconds to open this door for her. It's Elliot. Okay, I am back. I am sorry about that. But after we take Allen, obviously in the back of my mind, I'm always hoping that we get Kincaid making it to us in round 5. Doesn't happen in this draft. It is what it is. The main thing that we need to see is we need to see Keon Coleman around 7. We need to see Coleman around 7. Okay. Now, James Cook off the board at pick 52. Lamar falling a ton. What's very interesting is what team took Jimmy's took Andrews and gets Lamar making it all the way back at pick 53. Super exciting combo for them. Lamar Andrews is probably one of my favorite combos that you can possibly have in drafts at the moment. At least at ADP, getting them around 4 and 5. In the past, these were guys that went at the end of the second, the beginning of the third. Okay. Calvin Ridley off the board at 55. Kyle Pitts goes 56. So we've taken Anthony Richardson in back-to-back drafts. Obviously, this is one where we are not necessarily inclined to do so when we are sitting here already with Josh Allen and we don't have Michael Pittman Jr. So instead, we'll go ahead and we'll take Chris Godwin at pick 58. We'll go Godwin. This isn't a super exciting team so far, but hopefully we have something shaking up later on. Zork says, why is the ADP from Underdog so different to ESPN? You can get Waddle in the 4th in ESPN, but people are reaching in the 2nd. It's just because on Underdog, you have to start 3 wide receivers, and it is best ball. What you're going to find is you're going to find that wide receivers across the board are pushed up dramatically in comparison to your regular redraft leagues. Okay. Let's move this over. Happy that we go Godwin where we did, because here we can just go ahead and we can take Rachaad White. I'd be fine with Rome, but I actually am okay with the Rachaad White price. I understand, like, White's another good example. He's priced very differently in regular redraft leagues in comparison to where he's at on Underdog. Where on Underdog, Rachaad White is going in the 6th round pretty much in every draft, where in your regular redraft league, Rachaad White goes in like the 3rd. So there is a pretty big gap. But now, wide receiver, we have Wilson, Diggs, Godwin. Running back, we have Wilson, Diggs, Godwin. Running back, we have Gibbs, White. Quarterback, we have Josh Allen. And the hope is we get Keon Coleman making it to us at pick 82. Now, if we don't have Keon Coleman making it to us at 82, it's not the end of the world. We can still look at Curtis Samuel. We can still look at Khalil Shakir. But we'll see. Now Montgomery off at 70. Kyler goes 71. MDS says Shakira is the best wide receiver. I'll say Shakira definitely has the best wide receiver hips in Buffalo. I don't know if Shakira is the best wide receiver. Okay. Let's move this over. DeAndre Hopkins off the board. Okay. Lad off. We have a shot. It is a possibility. Do we get Keon to pair up with Josh Allen? What's going to happen here? JSN off at 79. The usual suspects are the ones falling in this draft. Like we discussed, Evan Ingram's been a faller. Hollywood's been a faller. Keon Coleman's fallen in the past few drafts that we've done. Keon Coleman, I think we got to pick 84 in the last one. God, people are taking their sweet, sweet time today. Hollywood Brown goes. We get our guy. Let's freaking go. Keon Coleman, pick 82. Immaculate. Love the team now. This is what makes special teams. Keon, wide receiver 4, pair up with Josh Allen. Getting him at close to wide receiver of 46, wide receiver 47. In my mind, one of the best values in underdog drafts at the moment. Let's go. Let's go. Now, at pick 87, we do have another option here. If we wanted to go ahead and take Jamison, which we're going to do. We're going to take Jamison Williams. We have Jamison and Gibbs paired together. So what we're able to do as well, if we want, is we can go ahead and take Jared Goff a little bit later on and have the Detroit double stack here between Gibbs, Jamison, and Goff. And I really like this team. This is a very well-balanced squad. I'm really excited about this. Okay. MDS says he's dropping a few passes, but he's getting a ton of snaps. So in my mind, and of course I'm very biased. I want to be honest with you. I've drafted a bunch of, I'll give you all my Buffalo Bills exposures right now. Let me pull up how many Bills guys I have drafted. And who I've been drafting, of course. But I drafted a decent amount of Keon Coleman. So Bills, I have 13% Keon Coleman, 11% Dalton Kincaid, 10% James Cook, 9% Josh Allen, 6% Shakir, 4% Knox, 4% Ray Davis, 2% Curtis Samuel. So clearly you can see I have 2% Curtis Samuel and 13% Keon Coleman. I'd way rather just take Keon Coleman at 92 than Curtis Samuel. Keon Coleman at 82 than Curtis Samuel at 92. But anyway, I would rather see the wide receiver that's a rookie getting snaps and dropping passes than not getting snaps. I think it's great news. Obviously, I mean, all else being equal, I'd rather see him getting snaps, dominating with those snaps, but still. Drop passes are always so overrated in fantasy football. And the big reason is with a drop pass, people will see it. You will see your wide receiver get the target. He will be so close to fantasy points. He'll drop the ball, and it couldn't be more frustrating. But I would make the argument that the ability for the wide receiver to generate separation and draw the target in the first place is, and even if he dropped the ball, that's better than him just being covered the entire time. And if you look from a year-to-year perspective, drops are extremely volatile and they are kind of random just because it's such a small sample size that you're working with. So I'm not too worried whatsoever. Okay. Jaden Daniels off the board at pick 102. Let's move this around. Dak Prescott falling. So if we were to take Dak here, we would have to consider Brandon Cooks on the way back around. This team in front of us has Ferguson. I'm kind of assuming they just go Dak. They go Shakir. We're going to take Zach Moss at 106. I don't know if we can take him over Dak. I'm sorry, take Dak over him when we don't have a stack here. Dak makes it to us at 111. The thing is, we'd have to bank on Brandon Cooks making it to us at 130, or we'd have to pair Dak up with a running back. So, I don't know. We'll see. Extra Sour Cream says, I'm so disappointed in your Curtis Samuel exposure. I'm completely fine. I'm completely fine being underweight Curtis Samuel. I'm going to sleep well at night with that decision this year. Dak goes, honestly, kind of good for us. I don't need that stress in my life. We'll take Singletary. Giants look like a horrible offense. Singletary's not that good of a running back, but the role looks massive. He gets the contract as well. He gets paid. He gets a better contract than Austin Eckler. So we'll take him. A running back, we have Gibbs, Rashad White, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary. Wide receiver, we have Wilson, Diggs, Godwin, Keon, Jameson. And quarterback, we have Keon paired up with Josh Allen. Now, Brian says, pick one in a double flex PPR. Should we go with CMC? Nervous about the injury in the format. Was second last year taking CMC at 5. We're going to go Deontay or Ladd this year. I think go Deontay over Ladd if it's just a regular redraft league. And if it's a league where you can start up to 4 wide receivers and it's a full PPR format, if you really wanted to go with Tyreek or Lamb at 1, I think you can. I personally would still go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey at 1, but that's just me. That's just me. Okay. Now, we have a couple wide receivers going. I'm very interested to know why that team right before us decided to take Shakir over Dak. I'm not stressing about it. I don't love Shakir. I know we have Allen, but we get Keon, so I'm fine. But, I mean, you have Ferguson. Getting Dak there 105 kind of seems like a no-brainer. I bet they were just rolling the dice that they would get Dak Prescott on the way back around at 112. At least that's what I'm assuming. Okay. Oh, Brian says it's best ball on DK. Yeah, I have not done any DK drafts. So, to be honest with you, I'm probably not a great gauge. I wouldn't have a great gauge of what to do. Okay. Trey Benson, 122. Hawkinson goes 123. This is a little early for Hawkinson in comparison to where I've seen him going as of late. Typically, Hawkinson has been falling in these drafts over the past, honestly, 2 weeks. He just falls further and further. Like Komet and Hawkinson have been the guys falling the most specifically at tight end over the past few weeks. See, Gus Edwards goes 127. So this is every single draft tonight. Gus Edwards has gone well past ADP. The name's Gray on the clock. Only has Pacheco and Walker at running back. They go Eckler. So if you look at the teams that we want Jared Goff here, right? We want Goff. But the thing is, if you look at the teams after us, The teams after us have Anthony Richardson, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams. So they're extremely unlikely to take another quarterback here. So we can go with Jerry Jeudy under the assumption that we are going to get we're going to get Jared Goff making it to us at pick 135. So let's go. Now, Joe says, what's the best strategy going 10th overall in a 10-team PPR snake? Mockasee, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, the best available receiver, and then Saquon, the best available running back. I personally probably prefer JT over Saquon, but if you wanted to go with A.J. Brown and then one of the running backs, I think you do it. But I honestly, in a full PPR format, give me Gibbs. If you can go like A.J. Brown, Gibbs, I think that'd be nice. Or A.J. Brown, JT. Frymuth off 133. So like we already discussed, what we are looking for here is we are looking for Jared Goff to pair up with Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, which based off what those teams had, I think we're going to get it. And yes, we will take Jared Goff here at 135. But now, wide receiver, we have Wilson, Diggs, Godwin, Keon, Jameson, Jeudy. Quarterback, we have Josh Allen stacked with Keon Coleman. We have Jared Goff stacked with Jameson Williams and and Jahmyr Gibbs. And running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Rashad White, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary. As you can tell, we've been live streaming for quite some time, so your boy's getting a little tired and a little delirious. But Stanley Cap says, full BBR in a two-player keeper league. I have CMC. Should we keep Diggs, Cook, Ridley, or Kamara? I'm going to go with Diggs and Cook there, my friend, and let go of Ridley and Kamara. Dylan says, 1,200 likes. Let's keep the stream going. Yes, sir. If we hit 1,200 likes in the stream, we'll fire up another draft after this one. JB says, if you only had one draft for a home league, who are the 5 guys you want to leave with? Half PBR, 2 wide receiver, single flex, 6-point passing touchdown. Thanks and like the stream chat. Yes, everybody hit that like button. So 6-point passing touchdown format. If we can, I would just love to get Josh Allen around 3. In a regular redraft league, I'm seeing that you could potentially get guys like Devonta Smith at the 4-5 turn. So maybe Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, if you can get them in rounds 5, round 6. And then in terms of running back values late, from what I have seen with ESPN and Yahoo and NFL Fantasy ADPs, it seems like Rico Dowdle and Chase Brown are great values. Okay. So let's move this over. We are more likely than not going to be passing on quarterback the rest of this draft. Shaquille says, I'm not drafting Josh Allen this year. Going to be a huge bust. I could not disagree with that more. 4 straight seasons of 390 or more fantasy points. Current Vegas sportsbooks project out the Bills to be one of the top 5 highest scoring offenses in the NFL this season. So, I don't know. I do not agree with that, my guy. Cam got kicks. I'm sorry, my friend. If I did not, I will go ahead and I'll find that right now. I'm going to have to pull up a completely separate window. I've not had to do this in forever. I'm sorry. Give me a second. So if we're looking at this, if we go Downs, I think we can. Obviously, Downs dealing with the high ankle sprain. This is somebody that in your regular redraft league, I have no interest at all in drafting. Here on Underdog, I definitely think that he is in play. If you're looking at the vast majority of tournaments, Downs would have gotten drafted much higher than pick 154. Once we go Downs, though, for the next few rounds, we're for sure just looking at running back and tight ends. Okay. So Cam says 10 TPBR, London, Lamb, Achan, Josh Allen, Kelsey, White, Pickens, Amari, Montgomery, Najee, Ladd, Brooks, Musgrave, Brian Thomas. What are your thoughts? I don't know how. I'm assuming that maybe this is a keeper league. There's no way we drafted this team. Allen, elite quarterback. Kelsey, elite tight ends. We have the wide receiver one with CeeDee Lamb. We have another potential wide receiver one with Drake London. We have Devon Achane, Rashad White, a beautiful team. I'm assuming that has to be a keeper league because there's no way we got all those guys falling to us. We'll go ahead. We will take Ray Davis. I mean, this is a spot where clearly we are betting on the Buffalo Bills to be a top 5 offense in the NFL this season, or this team's kind of toast with us taking Josh Allen at pick 39. Ray Davis has actually had some pretty encouraging usage in the preseason and has looked good at times as well. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Ray Davis as our 5th running back, I believe. Or is this? Yeah, this is our 5th RB. So we are going to be done drafting running backs with Ray Davis. Okay. Frank says, I think Jahan Dotson still has the wide receiver 2 role. So Dotson clearly is still being drafted as if he has the wide receiver 2 role. There's no Washington guy that has jumped him. But the potential issue that you have is if you are looking at Dotson, even if he is the technical wide receiver 2 in this offense, if they decide to make it a situation in which I don't know. That the wide receiver 2 only plays 60% of the snap, maybe only runs 60% of the routes, and they almost treat wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 as a committee. It could put you in a really difficult situation. Okay. So Jonnu Smith goes 173. Jonnu's usage hasn't been great. Wandell goes, good for us to see these wide receivers. Actually, I don't know. We probably end up taking one more. I don't know. What are we going to do with this draft? Definitely what we need at this point is we need some tight end production. So if Otten falls to us, we go Cade Otten. We could potentially, if we really wanted to get a little weird, take a 3rd quarterback here in Baker. We know we need a tight end. I don't know if we need a quarterback. But as we take Cade Otten here at 178, it is worth pointing out that we have Godwin, Otten, and Rashad White. So if Baker makes it to us 20 picks past ADP, yes, we went with a quarterback at pick 39. Yes, we went with the quarterback at pick 135. I think we could potentially get away with taking a 3rd quarterback and going with the 3-5-7-3 build. So let's see what happens here at 181, 182. Jordan Mason goes 181. This team has Richardson and Dak, so I'm sure they're in the same spot that I am, that they're probably only planning on taking 2, but they don't have the Baker stacks, which we do. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Baker Mayfield at pick 183. Probably not ideal to take a 3rd quarterback here when you go QB at pick 39 and QB at pick 135. But with our roster, I think going Baker at 183 is not the worst thing in the world. It's 20 picks past ADP. Fits all the players that we have, so it is what it is. But Daniel says 10-team at PBR double flex. We have Kyler, Achane, Chase Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Harrison, Nico McBride, Dell. And then on the bench, we have Brooks, Reed, Charbonnet, Benson, Algier, Judy, Chandler. What are your thoughts? Worried about my RB2. So I understand RB2 at the moment where we have Chase Brown does look really scary. But in a double flex league where we can just crush with our wide receivers in the flex spot, I mean, it's a situation that we don't have to worry too much. We can be a little bit underweight running back, while at the same time, I mean, if you think about what you have, say at, I don't know. I mean, if you look at what you have with the bench, we have the upside of Jonathan Brooks, the upside of Charbonnet, the upside of Trey Benson, the upside of Algier. We have the upside of Ty Chandler. So running back 2 is weak, but at the same time, we are rostering so many of them that it almost doesn't matter, because while it may be difficult to project out who exactly the guy is going to be, we can safely say that somebody will be there, right? Somebody will work out for us. Now, figuring out who, that's much easier said than done, but I'm confident somebody will. Okay. Now, Juwan Johnson off the board to pick 193. Tristan, let me go ahead and check in on that for you. I'm sorry, my guy. Okay. Actually, I remember your profile. I did answer your question. I'd be happy to pull it up again for you, though. Just give me a second. Okay. Now, good for us seeing the quarterbacks go. Really, the only thing that we don't want to happen is tight ends getting drafted. We just need 2 tight ends. Okay. So looking at this, and I will say just a little sneak peek on what we're going to be doing this season. Super chats are going to be turned off during the year. The super chat system for us is just super clunky, where it doesn't look good on a live stream. Y'all have to type out stuff. So what we are going to have on flockfantasy.com, just to let you know, is you're going to be able to link your team exactly with flockfantasy.com. You're going to be able to submit trade questions, start sit questions, ask for an in-depth roster review all through the site, where we are going to get rid of that process through YouTube Super Chats, because I'm sure it's difficult for y'all to have to try to go back and forth. But anyway, this is the team where we have Brees, Kyron, Laporta, London at the 407, Smith, Neighbors, Keenan, Kyler. Is my fault, my guy. I saw it and for whatever reason didn't get to reading it. But anyway, elite running backs, elite tight end. Really, I mean, I'm surprised we get Kyler. You're in a great spot. Don't draft a second tight ends. If you want to, you can take another quarterback at the very end of your draft, since it's a 10-team league there. But I think it's a great, great team, my friend. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take Tucker Kraft. But yeah, and a big reason too, and why we're going to get rid of the super chats, is it's like a bad system for somebody to have to super chat and then wait around and try to find their question getting answered in the live stream. So what we're going to have set up is, instead of super chatting on YouTube, you can purchase that question, whether it's a roster review, trade question, start sit question, through flockfantasy.com. I'll answer it in the live stream like I would a super chat, but it will take up the whole screen. It will look really good and make live streams look a lot better. And when I answer it, it will send you an automated message with the link to the live stream and the exact timestamp. So if you wanted to ask a question, but you weren't going to be able to stick around and wait 5-10 minutes to get it answered during the live stream, it will be sent to you directly as well, so you never miss me answering your question. So I think it's going to be a much, much better experience for everybody, and I think it will make the live streams look a lot better. But Jawad says, 10-team full PPR keeper, Spears or Rico for the 9th pick. Probably Spears, my guy. But I think that should be it for this stream. Thank you again for hanging out with us. Of course, we're going to be live streaming every single night. We're going to be getting in Underdog Fantasy drafts. So, of course, if you want to join a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. Code FLOCK will get you hooked up with a 50% deposit bonus, plus our 2024 rankings, 2024 draft guide, 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, And yeah, the best ball drafts at no time commitment all during the year. It's how we draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I won 150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And yeah, the new method is going to be a lot better. I think it'll be, because I know the super chat system does not work. I know that. I mean, it's worked up until this point, but I know it's crappy for y'all, and I'm sorry about that. And probably should have done something about it years ago, but I've made the investments. We've done something about it now, but much love. Really do appreciate y'all. Really hope you have a great day, and really hope I get to draft with you tomorrow night.